Chapter 390. According to Master Lu, among the 8 sects, Array faction and Talisman faction each occupied the business of 4 sections. Among them, Earthly Emperor sect, Stargate, Red Dust sect, and Shinling sect had business dealings with Array faction. The Gate of Hell, Life and Death sect, Solitary Fiend sect, and Jade sect had business dealings with Talisman faction. Originally, the 2 sects were evenly matched. However, Array faction had a famous ancestor of Heavenly Array, Dao, who was recognized by the cultivation world as an Array Grandmaster. Therefore, in the cultivation world, only Array techniques were mentioned and Talisman techniques were rarely mentioned. Talisman faction and Array faction were originally from the same sect, and both used the 8 trigrams as their foundation. However, Talisman faction took a different approach and carved the array on a talisman paper. They relied on talisman paper to set up the array. They used spatial arrays to seal all the materials that could be used as the base and core of the array onto a small piece of talisman paper. Talisman paper was used as the base and core of the array. The advantage of talisman paper was that it was lightweight. They set up the array very quickly and saved a lot of materials. It was suitable for small and simple arrays. 4 large arrays like Stargate's floating array and mountain protection array, using talisman paper would be rather cumbersome and difficult to maintain. However, not all sects in the cultivation world were as extravagant as Stargate to set up a large array. Apart from the 8 sects and some powerful sects, many small sects chose to set up small arrays. Small arrays were cheap, and their effects were quite good. In fact, the cultivation world demand for small arrays was much higher than large arrays. Talisman faction had their eyes on the market for small arrays, so they kept snatching away Array faction's business. Of course, this did not mean that Talisman faction did not know how to set up normal arrays. After all, they were from the same sect as Array faction and could set up large arrays. Otherwise, they would not have been able to control the arrays of 4 of the 8 sections. Both the Array faction and the Talisman faction were capable of inscribing a formation onto a small object, but the Talisman faction was better at it than the Array faction. Master Lu was able to set up an array within an array on a piece of green jade, which was enough to prove that Array faction's arrays were not inferior to Talisman techniques. Unfortunately, Array faction was better at using the vast landscape to set up arrays. Small arrays like Spirit Gathering Array were not as practical as Talisman factions. Over the past few years, the Array sect had gradually declined due to the lack of Sciention disciples. On the other hand, the Talisman sect strength was rising with each passing day. The number of Sciention disciples they had was much more than the Array sect. At this moment, he had even convinced the people of Stargate to come over and blatantly steal the business of the Array faction. Right now, Master Lu was heading to Yuheng Peak to demand an explanation from the Talisman sect. Yuheng Peak was the 5th divine peak in the Big Dipper 7 stars formation. The buildings here were fresh and elegant, and didn't have as many guards as Migres Peak. However, it wasn't a place that just any outsider could enter. When Master Lu entered, he also needed to report before he was allowed to enter. "Greetings, Master Lu. I've heard a lot about you." "Greetings." A gentle greeting came over, making people feel like they were bathed in the spring breeze. However, when it fell on Mu Yu's ears, it was like a bolt from the blue, causing his body to shake violently. The heavens wouldn't wait. The heavens wouldn't wait. Mu Yu would never forget this voice. That refined and courteous young master of Stargate, who always had a hypocritical smile, killed Deadwood Daddy with the help of the Sanchong Palace, causing Mu Yu to be devastated. This hatred was absolutely irreconcilable, and it became a hurdle in Mu Yu's heart that he couldn't cross. The heavens wouldn't wait for young master. You're truly a dragon among men, a talent of striking appearance. Master Lu forced a smile and responded politely. The young master of Stargate, the heavens wouldn't wait for him. His talent was outstanding, and this was something that everyone in the cultivation world knew. The heavens wouldn't wait for him. He was humble, courteous, and cultured. This was the impression he left on everyone. If it wasn't for the fact that Muyu had seen him kill people with a smile and didn't hesitate to go to great lengths to capture a low-ranked extreme immortal in order to frame Deadwood Daddy and take revenge with the life of an extreme immortal, perhaps Muyu would also think that the heavens wouldn't wait for him to be a highly cultured young master. Master Lu, there seems to be something wrong with the disciple behind you. Tian Buwait was keenly aware of the flash of killing intent emitted by Muyu. He looked at Muyu, who was only at the foundation establishment stage, with interest. At this time, Muyu was disguised, so he wasn't recognized by Tian Buwait. Master Lu glanced at Muyu, who had his head lowered, and turned to Tian Buwait with a smile. This is my guardian boy. His cultivation is low, and he hasn't seen the world. I'm afraid he was intimidated by the imposing manner of the young master. I hope you can forgive him. Tian Buwait said gently. Senior must be joking. How would I dare to show off in front of Senior? So this is Senior's guardian boy. I thought he was a disciple of the Array faction. Thinking about it, the Array faction shouldn't have a disciple with such a low cultivation. The Formation Guardian disciple of the Formation faction is only at this level. The Talisman Guardian disciple of my Talisman faction requires at least the strength of the Gold Core stage. A discordant voice sounded from behind, causing Master Lu's face to darken. A middle-aged man slowly walked over. This middle-aged man had an unpleasant face. Although his face was brimming with a smile, it felt as if someone was deliberately holding up the corners of his mouth with a finger. The smile was very stiff and fake. Compared to his smile, Tian Buwait's fake smile was at least much more natural. Zhou Jinglin, so it's you. Master Lu was so angry that he gritted his teeth. The people of the Talisman faction and the Array faction were sworn enemies. It wasn't the first time they had conflicts with each other. He naturally knew Zhou Jinglin. The Array faction and the Talisman faction were originally from the same family, so most of the customs were similar. Their disciples were also divided into Xiantian, Zhongqian, and Hotian. The people of the Array faction were called Array Masters, while the Talisman faction were called Talisman Masters. Talisman Masters were also divided into Xiantian Talisman Masters, Zhongtian Talisman Masters, and Hotian Talisman Masters. This person was a Xiantian Talisman Master. What's wrong? Are you still not satisfied after being defeated at the floating immortal island? Do you want to be defeated again? Zhou Jinglin didn't hide the provocation in his words. Master Lu had lost to Zhou Jinglin in the previous negotiation on floating immortal isle. He had never thought that Zhou Jinglin would be the instigator of this incident. This made Master Lu's face turn red from anger. The era of Array Masters should have passed long ago. We Talisman Masters are the Masters. Young Master Buwei chose our Talisman sect because of his foresight and because of young Master Buwei's trust in our Talisman sect. We are indebted to young Master Buwei for young Master Buwei to think highly of our Talisman sect. Zhou Jinglin's cultivation was also at the spirit severing stage, the same as Tian Buwait's cultivation. However, Zhou Jinglin actually flattered Tian Buwait openly. It made sense. Tian Buwait was the future sect master of the Stargate and a supreme immortal on the Supreme Immortal list. His future was limitless. Now that he was a big customer of the Talisman faction, it was natural for Zhou Jinglin to curry favor with Tian Buwait. Array Masters and Talisman Masters were different from the Pill Cauldron Sect's alchemists. The Pill Cauldron Sect's alchemists had a respected status and were the target of everyone's flattery. On the other hand, Array Masters and Talisman Masters had to curry favor with others to make a living because of their own competition. In a sense, Array Masters and Talisman Masters were more like businessmen. Tian Buwait, young master. Do you really want to change all the Array Masters of your sect to Talisman techniques? Our Array Master has cooperated with Stargate for so many years. Are you going to be so heartless? Master Lu was not as humble as Zhou Jinglin. He was a straightforward person and was not as tactful as Zhou Jinglin. Straightforward people would be at a disadvantage when dealing with others. After all, many people like to deal with people who are eloquent. It is precisely because I have cooperated with the Array Master for so many years that I discovered that Stargate had such a big problem in the past few years. If my father hadn't started to let me know about the trivial matters of the sect, I wouldn't have known that there were so many things that could be done better. If you think about it from the perspective of Stargate, would you choose the flawed and expensive Array Master or the cheap and nimble talisman technique? Since my father has decided to hand over Stargate to me, I naturally have to think about the future of Stargate. I am different from my father. I don't care about feelings. I only care about benefits. Tion Buwait always had the image of a refined gentleman. Even if his words were quite rude, it was impossible for people to have a bad impression of him. Master Lu clenched his fists. Tion Buwait, young master, I respect you as the future leader of Stargate, so I don't want to speak harshly. But please be careful with your words. Our Array Master also has dignity when doing business. You don't need our Array Masters, but when have we ever had a flaw in the Array Masters we made for you all these years? Tion Buwait gently stroked his fingers, then took out a piece of green jade and said, when you made the extreme immortal record for the floating immortal island, I couldn't track down the disciple of the true God. But you, using the extreme immortal record, which wasted a lot of my time. When I went to find the silhouette being, they used the tracking talisman of the talisman sect to find him. Even Huai Baiwan chose to terminate the business with your Array Master. For the future of Stargate, I must also choose a better partner. Tracking talisman? It was the first time that Mu Yu had heard of a tracking talisman. He didn't know how the silhouette being used the tracking talisman to find his whereabouts. If the tracking talisman had such a great ability, didn't it mean that the silhouette being would also know that he was in the Array Master's Array Master? Master Lu couldn't refute Tion Buwait's words. When he made the extreme immortal record, he didn't expect such a thing to happen. However, the mountain protecting array and the floating array are connected, so both of them will be handed over to your Array Master to maintain. So we can't say that we have terminated the business relationship, but at least we still keep some of it, right? Tion Buwait said with a smile. This was already the best result. Today, he came to Stargate and lost another business, which made Master Lu extremely disappointed. However, he couldn't make up for the loss. He had already lost to Zhou Jinglin once on the floating immortal island, and he couldn't win against Zhou Jinglin today. Zhou Jinglin, I will definitely make you pay for this. Master Lu was already ready to leave. Zhou Jinglin smiled gloomily and said, then I will wait for the good news. In a few months, the routine competition between our Array Master and Talisman Sect will be held. I hope that this year you can gather 3 innate realm disciples. Don't use Zhongtian realm disciples to make up the numbers again. Your Array Master has been losing for 9 years. This year, you're destined to lose for the 10th year. If this continues, I think this competition will be completely meaningless. In the past, the Array Master and Talisman Grandmasters had both won and lost. Usually, they would win against each other once. However, ever since the Array Master could no longer recruit innate realm disciples, they had been losing for 9 years. The Talisman Grandmasters of the Talisman Grandmasters were more than 40, which was twice the number of the Array Master. If it wasn't for the fact that the Array Master was still guarding the Array Master, the Talisman Grandmaster would have already brazenly annexed the Array Master. Master Lu glared fiercely at Zhou Jinglin. Suddenly, a strange light flashed in Zhou Jinglin's eyes, piercing straight into Master Lu's eyes. Master Lu only felt his vision blur. His eyes also flickered with a strange light as he glared back. Not to be outdone, the two's gazes intertwined in the air, creating sparks. A strong smell of gunpowder filled the air. The two of you should stay calm. Master Lu, don't be in a hurry to leave. Tion Buwait smiled warmly and continued, the two of you came at the right time. I just happen to need the two of you to help me with something. What is it that you don't need to wait for? Zhou Jinglin hurriedly smiled. Tion Buwait pondered for a moment and said, it's about solving the chaotic array. Chapter 391. Any Formation Master and Talisman Master would have heard of a chaotic array. Once the array was set up, it would have whatever effect it was supposed to have. However, Some arrays lacked maintenance all year round, and some of the spirit power lines would be missing. Once the spirit power lines were missing, the array would have serious problems. Some arrays would no longer be able to be used if they were missing a spirit power line. However, some large and strange arrays would not be ineffective if they were missing 1 or 2 spirit power lines. However, it would cause the array to deviate from its intended function and become an uncontrollable array. This kind of array was called a chaotic array. After the formation of a chaotic array, generally inexperienced formation masters and talisman masters would not dare to enter at will, let alone ordinary cultivators. This was because it was difficult to predict what would happen in this array. After entering the chaotic array, it was possible that nothing would happen. It was also possible to encounter a life-threatening accident. No one knew what would happen in a chaotic array. However, most chaotic arrays were extremely terrifying. Muyu had heard Deadwood Daddy talk about chaotic arrays before. At that time, Deadwood Daddy had encountered a mysterious spirit-gathering array. Because 19 spirit power lines were missing, anyone who entered the array would have their spirit power and blood sucked dry by the array and become a dry corpse. The way to solve a chaotic array was either to directly find an opportunity to destroy the array base or the eye of the array, or to repair the missing spirit power lines and return the chaotic array to normal. You are all formation masters and talisman masters, so you should not be unfamiliar with chaotic arrays. I will not explain much here. Recently, I have encountered a very dangerous chaotic array. I have sent people into the chaotic array several times, but there has been no news. Therefore, I need to borrow the ability of the 2 masters to solve this chaotic array. Tian Bue said, "It is my honor to be of service to young Master Bue, but young Master can leave this matter to me alone. I don't think I need to trouble Master Lu." Zhou Jinglin looked at Master Lu provocatively. Master Lu coldly snorted and was too lazy to explain anything. He really was not in the mood to help Tian Bue break the chaotic array. At this moment, he still had a grudge against Tian Bue. The loss of the array faction business made him very angry. Tian Bue shook his head. "Master Zhou, it's not that I don't believe in your talisman techniques. It's just that this formation isn't set up with talisman paper, so I think I still need Master Lu's help. As long as you 2 help me solve this chaotic formation, I'll pay each of you 2 million spirit stones as a reward. 2 million each. A total of 4 million. Heaven does not wait was truly generous." Even Master Lu could not help but be moved. One had to know that helping Stargate maintain the floating array formation would only earn him 2 million a year. However, if he could earn that much just by breaking a chaotic array formation, it would be a lie to say that he wasn't tempted. However, Master Lu would not be blinded by benefits. The chaos array that could make Tian Bue spend 4 million to invite the 2 of them to break, it was definitely not that simple. It might even be extremely dangerous. I wonder if young Master can explain to us what kind of chaotic array would be so troublesome? Who laid down this chaotic array? Master Lu asked. I'm not very clear about who laid down this chaotic array. However, this matter is a secret of Stargate, so I can only take you there if you agree. In order to not leak this secret, I hope that the fewer people who know about it, the better. At most, the 2 of you can bring a guardian boy with you. Tian Bue's gaze swept over Muyu, who was at the Foundation establishment stage. Master Lu's gaze wavered. 2 million spirit stones was not a small amount. After all, a formation master needed to spend a lot of spirit stones to use formation techniques, and a formation base with abundant spirit energy was not cheap. However, this amount of money coexisted with opportunity and risk. Presumably, the chaotic array that Tian Bue mentioned would naturally be full of danger. Okay, I agree to solve that chaotic array. After thinking for a long time, Master Lu agreed. He was finally moved by the 200 spirit stones. As for Zhou Jinglin of Talisman Sect, needless to say, he had no reason to refuse. It's good that the 2 of you agree. Then, you can stay here for the night. We'll set off tomorrow morning. Tian Bue nodded with a smile. Soon, someone led Master Lu and the others to a guest room. Stargate's reception area was very spacious, and there was a small independent courtyard for people to stay in. As one of the 8 gates of the 3 continents, they did not lack money. When the people from Stargate left, Master Lu snorted with dissatisfaction. Those bastards from Talisman's sect, I'll teach them a lesson sooner or later. Master Lu cursed in a low voice. AI Xiao and the others looked at each other. They did not dare to provoke Master Lu. Usually, Master Lu's self-restraint was very high. He would not easily get angry with Zhong Tian disciples, nor would he casually scold people. Obviously, he was very angry that Talisman sect had stolen his business with Stargate today. Feng Mu, you'll go with me tomorrow. You've just entered the sect, so it's good for you to see the essence of formations. However, it's very dangerous to mess up the formations. Don't go too far away tomorrow, otherwise, I might not be able to protect you. Master Lu looked at Mu Yu, who was only at the foundation establishment stage, and shook his head helplessly. He had just entered the sect and was so old with such a low cultivation. His talent was indeed lacking. Yes, this disciple understands. Mu Yu had been thinking about something else, so he did not care about messing up the formations. After hesitating for a while, he asked, Master Lu, this disciple doesn't quite understand. Just now, Tianbu Wei said that we can use the tracking talisman to find the true God's disciple. What is the tracking talisman? The tracking talisman is a kind of insignificant skill that Talisman sect came up with. This thing is completely useless. If it wants to track a person, it needs to stick the talisman on something that the person came in contact with within 7 days. This way, once the person appears within 20 miles of the tracking talisman, they will be detected. That broken thing is not on the same level as the formation within a formation that I made, Green Jade. This is really infuriating. Heaven does not wait for that bastard. Just looking at his smiling face makes me angry. If he has a grudge with the true God's disciple, why does he have to get involved with me? Master Lu scolded loudly. Then, he realized that everyone was looking at him. Thinking that he had to maintain his image in front of the younger generation, he coughed twice and forced himself to be calm. Scolding people is not right. Anyway, all of you must work hard. Don't be suppressed by the Talisman sect to the point where you can't even lift your heads. The Talisman sect's talisman techniques have always been on the path of innovation these few years. We can't stick to the rules anymore. If this goes on, the Array sect will really be finished. Master Lu had always seen the decline of the Array sect, and he was extremely anxious in his heart. But being anxious was of no use. The fact that they had not recruited a Xiantian disciple was an unchangeable fact. After so many years, there was only one Xiantian disciple. Once this Xiantian disciple became a Xiantian Array master, then in the future Array talisman competition, the Array sect would not be able to send out another Xiantian disciple. What a pity. That shy Zhongtian disciple just refuses to step forward. What is there to be shy about? Why must he hide it? Do I have to kneel down in front of him before he is willing to come out? Master Lu sighed in disappointment. Suddenly, he stared at AI Xiao, Zhao Lianggong, and Ding Bo. Among the 3 of you, could it be that one of you is the one who broke the Array tablet? He directly skipped over the foundation establishment stage, Mu Yu. Even if he was beaten to death, he would not believe that this old and low cultivation disciple was the mysterious genius. Although sometimes the truth was quite teasing. AI Xiao and the others shook their heads helplessly. They wanted to take this honor for themselves, but they had to have the ability to do so. This matter could not be faked. Could it be that the mysterious genius just had to go back and get close to the Array tablet? Damn it, do you really have to force me to force all the Zhongtian disciples to walk in front of the Array tablet? Master Lu was extremely depressed. He had never wanted to force the Zhongtian disciples to do this because he respected the disciple who did not want to show his face. He hoped that he would stand up on his own and not rely on Master Lu to force him. Now that the situation of the Array faction was getting worse and worse, he was also worried that if he forced the mysterious genius to leave the Array faction, there would be no turning back. But the real genius who broke the Array tablet was thinking about another thing. He suddenly understood how the silhouette being knew that he was in the 50-mile garden in the south. Mu Yu had appeared in Shadow Sword City before. so it wasn't difficult for the silhouette being to find what he had come into contact with within 7 days. The Shun Exxon Hall on the 38th Mile Street was a branch of the silhouette being, and he had also been to the 38th Mile Street at that time, so it wasn't difficult for the silhouette being to find him. In this way, at least Muyu didn't have to worry about the silhouette being finding him again, because he had been in the Array faction for more than a month, and the tracking talisman had long lost its effect on him. The night passed quickly, because Master Lu said that Muyu was his guardian Array boy. At this moment, he was already riding a tiger and couldn't get off, so he planned to take Muyu to see the world. As for AI, Xiao, and the other two, Master Lu asked them to return to the Array faction first. Now that the only business between the Array faction and the Stargate was the floating array, all the other arrays had been taken over by the people of the Talisman sect, so it was meaningless for them to stay in the Stargate. When Muyu saw Tianbu wait again, he was calm enough. His enemy was right in front of him, but he wouldn't act recklessly. One day, he would find an opportunity to kill Tianbu Wait, who had a fake smile on his face, and avenge his father. Muyu hid the killing intent in his heart very well, and Tianbu Wait also didn't pay too much attention to Muyu. Zhou Jinglin also brought a guardian with him. As if to provoke Master Lu, his guardian actually had the cultivation of the 6th heavenly layer of the nascent soul stage. This guardian was called Hushur. Perhaps he had received instructions from Zhou Jinglin, but as soon as he saw Muyu, in order to give Muyu a show of strength, the aura of the 6th heavenly layer of the nascent soul stage swept towards Muyu. Master Lu coldly snorted and used his own aura to protect Muyu, not letting Muyu be oppressed by the other party. Muyu faintly glanced at the arrogant Hushur. He really didn't understand why the other party wanted to show off his superiority in front of him. If they really fought, Muyu's slap was enough to kill the other party. However, since Master Lu was willing to help, he was also happy to be idle and was too lazy to compete with short-sighted people. Master Lu, you really brought a Foundation Establishment stage guardian boy here. Aren't you afraid that you will be killed in the chaos of the Array formation? All right, I forgot. Anyway, your Array faction had a lot of trash in the Foundation Establishment stage. If one dies, there are hundreds more. Zhou Jinglin unscrupulously mocked. Zhou Jinglin, say it again. Master Lu was furious. He was more straightforward and didn't know how to ridicule others. He only knew how to directly get angry. Muyu slowly opened his mouth and said, Master Zhou is joking. Every Foundation Establishment stage disciple of our Array faction has a way to protect himself. In the chaos, our Foundation Establishment stage Array Masters and your nascent Soul Stage Talisman Masters have the same performance. Our Master Lu has rich experience in breaking the Chaos Array. He is not worried about me at all. However, Master Zhou seems to have no confidence in his own ability and needs to bring a nascent Soul Stage person as an assistant. It's really regrettable. Muyu unceremoniously ridiculed back and didn't even bother to lift his eyelids. Everyone knew that the Chaos Array was very dangerous, but Master Lu brought a guardian of the Foundation Establishment stage, which was enough to show that he had a card up his sleeve. On the contrary, Zhou Jinglin seemed to lack confidence. Yes, that's what I think. Master Zhou, do you have the guts to bring a Foundation Establishment stage disciple to break the Chaos Array? Master Lu patted Muyu's shoulder approvingly. Muyu's words were very pleasant to hear and made him gain a lot of face. Humph, a Foundation Establishment stage disciple wants to be my guardian? I don't like it. Zhou Jinglin coldly stared at Muyu. His eyes flashed with a strange light again, but Muyu didn't have any fear. He just calmly looked at him. Tianbu Wait smiled and said, The two of you don't have to fight. At this time, breaking the Chaos Array is of great importance. I hope that the two of you can work together and don't let your emotions affect your decisions. After the matter is done, there will be generous rewards. There's no time to lose. Let's set off immediately. Chapter 392. There were a total of 10 people in Stargate. 6 of them were out-of-body stage cultivators, and the remaining 4 were function stage cultivators, including Tianbu Wait. On the way, Tianbu Wait didn't explain the location of the Chaos Formation. He just led everyone on the way. After nearly a day, they finally stopped in front of a vast forest. At the end of the forest, a golden border could be vaguely seen. Muyu looked carefully for a long time before he found that it was a desert. Isn't this the desert forest? Master Lu's face changed slightly. He looked at Tianbu Wait in confusion. He didn't know why Tianbu Wait brought them to this place. The desert forest was one of the strangest forests in the 3 continents. It covered a very large area. There were all kinds of powerful high-level demon beasts in the forest. If you were not careful, you would get lost. However, the strangeness of this forest did not lie in its size or demonic beasts. Instead, it lay in the huge desert in the middle of it. Looking from afar, this forest was full of lush trees, but in fact, there was an endless desert in the middle of the forest. The golden border at the end of the forest that Muyu saw was actually just the desert in the middle of the forest. This desert was extremely dry, which was in sharp contrast to the surrounding forest. No one knew how this desert was formed, but one thing was certain. If a function stage cultivator wanted to cross the entire desert, it would take at least a month. Tianbu Wai gazed at the boundless forest and nodded. Since we're here, I don't need to hide anything from you. You two are an array master and a talisman master. You've been helping each sect set up their protective arrays all year round, and are familiar with the weaknesses of each sect's protective arrays. Thus, keeping secrets is your professional integrity and the most basic principle of doing business. Am I right? The mountain protecting formation was the foundation of a sect to resist foreign invaders. It was crucial for every sect. After all, no sect was willing to expose the weakness of their sect's grand formation to their opponents. Therefore, when they handed over the most important sect security to the formation sect or talisman sect, keeping a secret had become a principle that every formation master and talisman master had to abide by. The credibility of array master and talisman master was unquestionable. They strictly abided by the principle of confidentiality and would not disclose the weaknesses of the formation to outsiders. Only in this way could other sects rest assured that such an important matter as the mountain protecting formation would be arranged by array master and talisman master. Young master can rest assured. We are in the business of array master. We will never say anything that shouldn't be said. Zhou Jinglin promised. Master Lu also nodded solemnly. There was nothing to refute. Tian Bue smiled and nodded. To tell you the truth, according to our research over the years, it is very likely that one of the 10 great demon kings of the demon race is sealed in this desert forest. Demon King, Desert Eagle. What? Desert Eagle Demon King? Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin were stunned. Thousands of years ago, after the Great War between the Demon Clan and the Human Clan, the Demon Clan was defeated and 9 of the 10 Demon Kings were sealed. Only the strongest Demon King, the Azure Dragon Demon King, led the remaining Demon Clansmen to live in seclusion. The location of these 9 Demon Kings had always been a mystery. Even the human race did not have a detailed record of this matter, let alone the demon race. Although the exact location of the Demon King seal was not left behind, there were still traces that could be traced. Just like how the White Ape Demon King was sealed in the second layer of heaven, the demon race, the devil sect, and the gate of life and death had all inferred this point. Yes, the king of the desert, Desert Eagle Demon King. We relied on some scattered clues to find this place. In this desert, we inadvertently found a distorted formation. We thought it was just an ordinary mountain protecting formation. However, we sent a severed soul stage and 5 out-of-body stage cultivators to investigate, but they all went missing. The only news that came back was the 2 words chaos formation. Thus, I decided to invite the 2 of you to help solve the chaos formation. Tian Bue explained. Muyu frowned. How did it have anything to do with the Demon Kings again? The Demon Kings were immortal. Could it be that the people of the Stargate were eyeing the Demon King's immortal body like the gate of hell and the gate of life and death? It was said that the one who wanted the Demon King's immortal body the most should be the guardian of the Sanchon Palace. Could it be that the Sanchon Palace was behind this? Muyu remembered that Deadwood Daddy was about to use a powerful formation to kill Tianbu Wait, but the Sanchong Palace secretly attacked Deadwood Daddy. Muyu still couldn't forget the soul power that attacked Deadwood Daddy. Muyu didn't believe that the Sanchong Palace and Tianbu Wait had nothing to do with each other. Master Lu pondered for a moment and asked, if the Desert Eagle Demon King is born, won't the Demon Clan come here to help? The third heaven is different from the second heaven. The Demon Clan will not only send nascent soul, stage Demon Clansmen. I'm afraid they will definitely send experts. Won't it be troublesome if there is a conflict at that time? Last time, the birth of the White Ape Demon King had caused an uproar. Many cultivators had heard about the second firmament White Ape Demon King's birth and the encounter with the Demon Clan. What? Master Lu, do you still not believe in the strength of Stargate? Zhou Jinglin asked in a strange tone. Master Lu glared at Zhou Jinglin, the bootlicker, and said, we are all at the spirit severing stage now. If the Demon Clan has several masters at the combination stage or the crossing calamity stage, can we still be safe and sound? I think we have to think about the matter of the Demon King in the long run. Tianbu Wait smiled slightly and said, Master Lu, you don't have to worry about this. We Stargate don't fight unprepared battles. We have already made a comprehensive plan to deal with the sudden attack of the Demon Clan. You two just need to help us break this chaos array and leave with the reward. We will take care of the rest ourselves. Since Tianbu Wait said so, Master Lu was too lazy to worry about anything else. Needless to say, the place where the Demon King was sealed must be full of formations. He was afraid that the chaos array was just one of the formations. Master Lu just wanted to break the so-called chaos array and take the money directly. The rest of the formations had nothing to do with him. He didn't want to get involved in the Demon King. They continued to fly towards the desert in the middle of the forest in the distance. After flying for about 2 hours, they landed in the desert in the middle of the forest. The desert was extremely hot, which was in sharp contrast to the shade of the forest. Occasionally, gusts of wind blew over, but they were soon annihilated in the sand dunes. The people of Stargate were familiar with the road and didn't stop to identify the direction. Obviously, they had known this desert for a long time. Then the group of people stopped in a desolate gobi. This gobi had been baptized by wind and sand all year round. It was rough, but unique, which was amazing. Muyu soon understood why Stargate was so confident. It turned out that there was a large arched cave under the gobi. At the moment, there were 7 or 8 people at the spirit severing stage standing in the arched cave. There were also 2 people at the combination stage. When these people saw Tianbu Wait, they all came over to salute and greet him. Stargate had spent a lot of effort for this Sand Eagle Demon King and had even sent people to station here. With 2 combination stage cultivators and so many spirit severing stage cultivators, they weren't afraid of the Demon Clan coming over. Muyu calmed down. Looking at the cultivation of the people of Stargate, he felt an inexplicable sense of powerlessness in his heart. Stargate was really rich. There was no shortage of masters in the sect. If Muyu accidentally exposed his identity here, it would be like a sheep in a tiger's mouth. He was afraid that it would be difficult for him to survive. He had to be careful. Uncle Chung, did anything go wrong? Tianbu Wait asked an old man. This old man's name was Tian Jianxing. He was an elder of Stargate. His cultivation was at the second sky of the combination stage. Young Gate Master, everything is normal. There is still no news from the people we sent in, but they should still be alive. We have to break this chaos array. Tian Jiancheng said. Tianbu Wait said, Uncle Chung, don't worry. It's better to leave the matter of the array to the 2 masters. We're not familiar with the chaos array. It's easy to have an accident when we go in. Let the 2 masters break the chaos array, and then we go in. Tian Jiansheng glanced at Master Lu and Master Zhou, nodded slightly to them, and then looked at Muyu, who was only at the Foundation Establishment stage. He frowned and said, Why is a Foundation Establishment stage cultivator here? He is my guardian boy. He is here to help me set up the array. Master Lu quickly said. The other party was at the combination stage. Master Lu didn't dare to be arrogant. He still spoke with due respect. Tian Jiansheng looked up and down at Muyu, then looked away and said, You should have already known the situation. 500 meters to the left of this Gobi Desert, you will see a distorted array boundary. Sorry to trouble you. It's no trouble. It's my honor to be able to serve you, Zhou Jinglin said respectfully. Master Lu didn't answer. From what Tianbu Wait said, the people of Stargate didn't intend to go in with Master Lu, Zhou Jinglin, and the others. Instead, they would wait outside for them to break the chaos array. They were using the four of them as spies. He knew that this trip to break the array wasn't so simple. To put it bluntly, Tianbu Wait wanted Master Lu, Zhou Jinglin, and the others to enter the chaos array to explore the way for Stargate. If nothing happened and they broke the chaos array, it would be fine. If something happened, it wouldn't be a loss for Stargate, and the four of them would die in vain. Even if the Formation Sect and Talisman Sect wanted to ask Stargate about the whereabouts of these people, with the arrogance of Stargate, they could directly cut off all ties. The strength of Stargate was much stronger than that of the Formation Sect and Talisman Sect. The reward of 2 million Spirit Stones was equivalent to the two masters risking their lives to earn it. However, 2 million Spirit Stones were too tempting for Master Lu. He hesitated for a while, but still chose to continue to check it out. At the same time, he planned to keep an eye out. If the power of this chaos array exceeded his expectations, he would not hesitate to take Mu Yu and leave here. Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin led their people in the direction indicated by Tian Jianqing. It wasn't until they were sure that Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin couldn't hear them that Tianbu Wait asked, "Uncle Chung, I think you should have already gone in once, right?" Tian Jianqing looked at the back of Master Lu and the others, then nodded and said, "I only went in for a short distance before I was forced to retreat. The chaos inside has already evolved into a very frightening state. Moreover, I lied a moment ago. Not long after I entered, I saw the corpses of the people our sect had sent out. Their deaths were really alas." There was a trace of reluctance on Tian Jianqing's face. Obviously, those who died didn't end well. Even he, who was at the combination stage, was so afraid of this chaos array. Needless to say, how dangerous it was inside. Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin were only at the spirit-severing stage, and they also brought 2 low-level guardian boys with them. He was afraid that they would be in danger if they went in. In order to let Master Lu and the others go in with peace of mind, he even lied and said that the people sent and were still alive. Tianbu Wait smiled slightly. The two of them may have some way to break this array. Let's wait and see first. If they can really break the chaos array, then the 4 million Spirit Stones are not wasted. If something happens, it has nothing to do with us. As for those who died, we will remember their contributions. Chapter 393. Mu Yu looked at the distorted air in front of him. This was what they called the outer boundary of the chaos array. The boundary here seemed to have a fault in the air, and it was also like ripples in the water. The wind and sand in the desert would merge into the boundary and quickly fall to the ground along the ripples. The closer they got to the array, the more everyone felt an indescribable sense of oppression, which made them feel very uncomfortable. They couldn't see the situation inside the array through the boundary, but they could vaguely see some strange shadows floating through the array. Master Lu's face was very serious. He carefully looked at the boundary of the array. The array pattern on his hand surged, and a blue array pattern poured into the boundary. However, when his array pattern came into contact with the boundary, it scattered like scattered sand and then disappeared. This chaos array is strange. It repels foreign array patterns. This is tricky. Master Lu carefully approached the boundary and wrapped his palm with the array pattern. Then, he gently stroked the boundary with his finger. However, his finger directly penetrated the boundary as if it was on the surface of the water. The boundary of the array didn't stop him from entering. He pulled out his hand and walked around the array for a while. His brows were furrowed deeper and deeper. Then, he turned to Mu Yu and said seriously, "Feng Mu, this array is very dangerous. Wait for me outside. I'll go in and have a look." "What? Didn't you just say that you have the ability to protect the guardian of the Foundation establishment stage? Now you can't do it? Zhou Jinglin mocked from the side. Then, he arrogantly stepped into the formation with his guardian boy. Master Lu was very angry, but he thought that Mu Yu had just entered the sect and didn't know much about arrays. He would be in danger in the chaotic array, so he didn't recklessly bring Mu Yu in because of Zhou Jinglin's provocation. However, Mu Yu was not a person who was afraid of trouble. He had never seen a chaotic array before. He also wanted to go in and see how Master Lu would break it. Besides, if Stargate wanted to do something, Mu Yu would not let them have an easy time. Master Lu, don't worry. I'll be right beside you. Besides, we can't allow the members of the Talisman sect to look down on us time and time again. If I don't go in, the members of the Talisman sect will have even more excuses to mock us, said Mu Yu. Master Lu hesitated for a moment. Thinking of Zhou Jinglin's face, he got angry, so he said, "Then you go in and don't run around." Although heaven is not waiting, said it lightly. Even two Unity stage cultivators didn't dare to rashly enter this chaos array, which is enough to show that this array is not simple. If there's any danger, you have to strictly follow my instructions, understand? Mu Yu nodded. He didn't know what was going on in the chaotic array, but he knew what to do. Master Lu patted Mu Yu on the shoulder and then took the lead to step into the chaotic formation, and Mu Yu followed closely behind. To Mu Yu's surprise, after he stepped into the chaotic formation, the scorching hot desert had already disappeared. What came into his eyes was a strange and dark city. Blood-red clouds floated in the sky above the city, rendering the entire city bloody. The most important thing was that there was really a strong smell of blood coming over. This city looked very huge from afar, and it was similar to a human city. The most impressive thing was its city gate. The two city gates were tightly closed, and there was a majestic eagle carved on the city gate. This eagle wanted to spread its wings and fly high above the city gate, but gave people the feeling that it was forcibly imprisoned by the city gate halfway. There was a trace of hostility and unwillingness between its eyebrows. Its huge eagle eyes stared at the outsiders, and it was breathtaking, making people not dare to look at it directly. There were all kinds of chaotic cries in the air, like the mournful cry of an eagle. There were 4 strange words written on the city gate. Looking at the style of these words, it was the demon language Mu Yu saw in the second heaven. If only Qiao Shui was here, she would definitely know what these 4 words are. Mu Yu thought. These 4 words are Sand Eagle King City. Dragon Vine's voice quietly echoed in Mu Yu's mind. It was a plant, and Mu Yu was the ancestor of plants, so it could directly communicate with Mu Yu without using sound. Big Earthworm, how can you understand the demon language? You're not a demon. Little Shui asked. Its voice also echoed in Mu Yu's mind. I'm not talking to you. Can you not interrupt? Dragonvine was a bit unhappy. Other than being greedy, Little Shui also had the ability to understand any language. This thick-skinned guy could understand the language of every demon in the second heaven, and it could even appease the lovelorn demon toad that wanted to have Little Shui with it. In the end, it cruelly rejected the demon toad's courtship. It was simply too heaven-defying, and Dragonvine's ability to let whoever it wants to understand it was completely ineffective in front of Little Shui. Such ugly words. Only ugly guys can understand. Although Little Shui knew many languages, it could only understand the human language. It didn't understand the other languages. Dragonvine didn't have any concept of handsome and ugly, so it wasn't angry. Anyway, I just understand it. I feel like I was originally a bit older than this Sand Eagle King. It was a 10,000-year-old plant. When Dragonvine turned into a true dragon, it might have existed longer than the Demon King. Come on, before you turned into a dragon, you didn't have any self-awareness. You were just a broken plant. Now, you're at most a 3-year-old brat. Little Shui laughed without restraint. You're asking for a beating. My body has lived for 10,000 years, can't I? Then you're an old fart. Damn it, one-on-one. The two weirdos began to quarrel in Mu Yu's mind again. Mu Yu had long been used to their bickering and could automatically block their words. He followed closely beside Master Lu. After walking for a while, Master Lu didn't continue forward. He frowned and motioned for Mu Yu to come closer. Master Lu grabbed a handful of damp soil from the ground. It was really strange that there was such soil in the desert. His hand was wrapped in formation patterns that flowed in the soil. Then, he waved his other hand in front of him. The air seemed to be swept away by him, but he couldn't see what it was. Be careful, there's a turbulence in the formation here. I suspect that this isn't a naturally formed formation, but someone deliberately created it. However, it seems that this person's formation skills aren't very good. I think he originally wanted to try to break this formation, but he didn't expect the entire formation to become a chaotic formation. Master Lu glanced at the city in front of him. The doubts in his heart grew deeper and deeper. Chaotic formations were generally formed naturally, but sometimes, when someone wanted to break a normal formation, they accidentally made a mistake in the spirit power inscriptions. This could lead to unexpected and serious consequences and become a chaotic formation. Could it be someone from Stargate? Muyu asked. Master Lu shook his head and said, "It's hard to say. I think the people from Stargate must have some secrets that they didn't tell us clearly. According to my inference, the formation here should have been an attack formation, but now, due to a free combination of factors, I'm afraid that some uncontrollable or even more powerful attacks have appeared in the formation." Muyu took a step forward, but at this moment, he felt as if he had stepped on something. Then, with a poochie sound, something suddenly emerged from the soil and grabbed Muyu's ankle. It was a withered hand that hadn't completely rotted yet, with flesh and bones on it. A cold chill suddenly came from Muyu's foot. This chill instantly invaded Muyu's body, but it was quickly dissolved by the black and white spirit power in Muyu's body. Master Lu's reaction was very fast. The inscriptions in his hand turned into a sharp, flying sword, cutting off the disgusting withered hand. This is the Ing Corpse Array. The ancient monster race loved to do this disgusting thing, using the dead to set up the array. Master Lu took Muyu and flew up into the sky in disgust. However, countless withered hands began to stretch out from the damp ground. These withered hands were not only the kind that had grabbed Muyu, but also the claws of some demon beasts. Looking around, there were probably no less than thousands of them. These hands slowly came out from the ground, then the head, then the body. When they completely crawled out, Muyu finally saw what these disgusting Ing corpses looked like. These Ing corpses were not only humans, they were also monster race and large monsters. Each Ing corpse had not completely rotted. There were some Ing corpses that only had 2 eyeballs left in their eye sockets. Their entire head's flesh had fallen off, with only some hair sticking to it. These Ing corpses crawled out from the wet ground, but what made people feel strange was that they did not have any dirt on them. They still had the clothes they wore when they were alive, but the clothes were tattered, clearly because of the passage of time. However, among all these Ing corpses, there were 6 Ing corpses that were very eye-catching because their clothes were not as tattered as the other Ing corpses. On the contrary, their clothes were very new, but they were stained with blood, like they had just become Ing corpses not long ago. The clothes of Stargate people. These 6 people from a celestial star sect died very miserably. One of them had half of his head cut off, and his head was still stained with blood. However, his head was empty, as if his brain had been eaten by something. There were also 2 clearly visible holes in their chests, and the hearts in their chests had disappeared. The rest of their bodies were covered with all kinds of claw marks, and the flesh on their bodies seemed to have been bitten off. It was a terrible sight. What surprised Muyu the most was that the half-headed Stargate person had the aura of the severed soul stage, and the other 5 had the aura of the out-of-body stage. After they became dry corpses, their cultivation did not disappear. Not only the 6 of them, but the other Ing corpses had more or less retained their cultivation and strength from when they were alive, from the chi refining stage to the severed soul stage. Muyu roughly estimated that there were at least 100 out-of-body stage Ing corpses, not including the rank 5 monsters, and there were more than 20 severed soul stage Ing corpses. It turns out that the people sent by the Stargate people have all been turned into Ing corpses by the array. Even the severed soul stage cultivators are not spared. Master Lu's face changed greatly. He looked at Zhou Jinglin in the distance and found that Zhou Jinglin's face was not good. Before they came in, Both of them already knew that this chaos array was not simple, but the sudden appearance of so many severed soul-staging corpses was still beyond their expectations. Both of them were at the severed soul stage. Although the combat strength of an array master was stronger than that of an ordinary cultivator, it was still impossible to resist so many powerful corpses. Leave here. Master Lu made a prompt decision and turned around to lead Mu Yu to the barrier of the chaos array. 2,000,000 spirit stones were important, but it was not enough to risk their lives. However, all the corpses suddenly kicked off and charged into the sky. They densely surrounded Master Lu's group, blocking their path of retreat. Chapter 394. Zhou Jinglin quickly arrived beside Master Lu. His heart was trembling as he looked at these corpses. His path of retreat had been cut off, and his face had changed, especially when he saw these strong corpses. It made his face turn white. Damn, this corpse array is not something we can contend against. Zhou Jinglin anxiously looked at Master Lu. But Master Lu did not care about him. He was already charging at the corpses. Pung, pung, pung. Master Lu's body erupted with powerful runes. Countless runes turned into thick palms, grabbing several corpses in front of him and fiercely smashing them, smashing all the other corpses that were charging over. Master Lu did not hold back at all when he made his move. His array runes flew out, causing the air to explode. Those weaker corpses were torn apart by Master Lu's palms, but there was no blood splashing out, only broken limbs falling down from the sky. But there were too many corpses. They all charged forward wave after wave. It was a good thing that although these corpses had the same cultivation as when they were alive, they had lost their attack methods. They only knew how to bite and kill, otherwise the situation would have been even worse. Countless talisman papers appeared around Zhou Jinglin's body. These talisman papers intertwined with each other, sparkling with light. There was a thin line of spiritual energy that connected them together. Then the countless talisman papers turned into flying swords, charging at the corpse array. The guardian boy behind him was also scared to the point of not knowing what to do. He never thought that he would encounter such a disgusting thing. He did not even dare move. He did not have the feeling of superiority from before. Mu Yu also did not make a move. In this kind of battle, he could not intervene. The corner of his eyes glanced at the broken limbs on the ground, and then his brows suddenly jumped up. This was because he discovered that the corpses that Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin had broken apart seemed to have received some kind of summoning and had reformed themselves. Then they once again recklessly charged over. Master Lu, these corpses can't be killed. They have already regrouped. Mu Yu reminded. Master Lu also realized that something was wrong. Formation patterns flashed across his eyes rapidly, and he quickly landed on the ground with Mu Yu. With a kick, he shattered a withered hand that was trying to grab his foot. His hand formed a complicated seal, and blue 8 trigrams formation patterns spread out from the bottom of his feet. He shouted, "Feng Mu, stay in this defensive formation and don't move. Otherwise, my formation skills might accidentally injure you." Master Lu's hand released a blue array pattern that surrounded Mu Yu. This array pattern flashed with a gentle light. It could repel all the corpses that came at him. This defensive array could only protect out-of-body stage corpses. Once a spirit-severing stage corpse charged forward, the array would be instantly destroyed. But those corpses were clearly more interested in Master Lu, who was guarding outside the array. So they ignored Mu Yu. Deafening thunder snake, swift shadow. In front of Master Lu floated 2 deep blue, innate array foundations. The blue array pattern on his hand suddenly turned into lightning. The lightning filled the air, and countless hissing sounds came from the lightning. Then blue snake shadows scattered in all directions, fiercely twisting their bodies in the air. When they appeared again, they were already wrapped around the corpses' necks. The snake shadows opened their bloody mouths and directly bit down on the corpses' heads. Countless electric sparks flowed around the corpses, swallowing the corpses' corpse chi. The corpses' bodies were burnt black by the electricity and even caught on fire. These lightning snakes flopped on the ground twice, and then they stopped moving, not crawling back up. But these lightning snakes did not disappear. Rather, they twisted their bodies and bit down on another Een corpse. In the blink of an eye, the Een corpses were flashing with lightning. The Een corpses were electrocuted, and a large number of them were eliminated in an instant. This was Muyu's first time seeing Master Lu use an offensive array technique. This kind of terrifying array technique was very strong. He even saw a spirit-severing stage Een corpse have its head bitten off by the lightning snake. The sky was filled with flashing snake shadows, and Een corpses fell down from time to time. However, the Een corpses kept crawling out from the ground. It was unknown how many corpses were sacrificed to create this Een corpse array. When Master Lu saw the countless Een corpses attacking again, his face was very serious. Although the array technique was strong, but the weakness of an array master was very obvious, they could not fight for a long time. Muyu did not want to sit still and wait for death. He pondered that he had to break this Een corpse array. Since the information from Stargate said that this was a chaotic array, then this array must have some kind of uncontrollable flaw. Where did this Een corpse array's chaos come from? To break an array, there are 3 ways. One was to use a powerful force to directly break the array. This kind of array was useless against many other arrays. The other 2 ways were to find the array core or the array base. As long as the array core or the array base was destroyed, the entire array would automatically collapse. That's right, the peeping array technique. Muyu remembered a relatively advanced array technique in the central heaven array technique. The peeping array technique was a common array technique to search for the array core. It could directly find the location of the array core. But this array technique also varied from person to person, because if you want to explore the location of the array core, you must first understand the composition of the array's spirit patterns. If you don't understand it, you can't find it at all. There were also some arrays that were too powerful. The people who set up the array would use a concealment array technique. The array core would not be detected by the peeping array technique. Muyu's array technique was not as skillful as Master Lu, but because this array technique was only the central heaven array technique, Muyu had already engraved it on the array base and could directly display it. The cyan-colored array pattern lit up under his feet, and countless dense array patterns spread out like tentacles, beginning to look for the array core of the Een corpse array. The principle of the array was like an intricate spider web, and each thread of the spider web was the spirit power engraving of the array. Muyu wanted to use the peeping array technique to find the array core of the Een corpse array. First, his peeping array technique had to find the spirit power engraving of the Een corpse array's spider web, and then climb along the spider web to the position of the array core. But Muyu searched around and did not find the spirit power engraving of the Een corpse array. It was clear that the person who set up the Een corpse array had already prepared for this and camouflaged the spirit power engraving of the Een corpse array. But this was not a problem for Muyu, because he suddenly thought of Lil Shuai. Little Shuai, where is the Een corpse array's array base? Muyu asked. Little Shuai, this kind of foodie, was very sensitive to places with spiritual energy, but any array must use an array base. Little Shuai liked to eat array bases rich in spiritual energy, so he must be able to smell the location of the Een corpse array's base. Since he could not find the array core, then looking for the array base was a very good choice. After I find the array base, can you give it to me to eat? Little Shuai excitedly asked. Of course, I'll give it all to you, Muyu helplessly said. Too great. Little Shuai jumped onto Muyu's shoulder, swinging his large tail. Streams of spiritual energy came out of his tail, dissipating into the air. He made a few gestures, then he happily said, "This broken array has over 10,000 array bases. Each one is an innate array base god. I have something to eat." Little Shuai's eyes were filled with little stars of happiness. 10,000 innate array bases? Fuck, is there such a large amount? Compared to the disgusting Een corpse array, these 10,000 innate array bases shocked Muyu even more. He was currently embarrassingly short on money. He only had less than 100 innate array bases. He never thought that there would be 10,000 of them. But thinking about it, if there weren't that many innate array bases, it would be impossible to summon so many Een corpses to fight. Desert Eagle Demon King was one of the 10 Demon Kings. Wanted to get 10,000 innate array bases was a piece of cake. Then where are these innate array bases? Muyu also rubbed his hands. If he could steal these array bases, then he could make a huge profit. Let me think. 500 meters underground. There are 1,364, 521 meters underground. There are 3,672, and 600 meters underground. There are 5,000. 500 meters underground? Fuck, who has nothing better to do than to bury the array bases so deep. Muyu was suddenly dumbfounded. He had figured out the location of the array bases with little Shuai's help, but in such a deep place, he was helpless. Use the broken sword. Let it turn into a tree root, and take us to dig for treasures underground. Little Shuai wiped his saliva. No, Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin are both here. If I suddenly stop breathing, they will definitely notice the Mu Yumeng ability on me. Muyu shook his head. Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin are both cultivators of the spirit severing stage. Especially Master Lu, I am still in his protective formation. Once he did something, he would definitely be discovered by Master Lu. Then what should we do? Don't tell me we don't eat the array bases? Little Shuai was very dissatisfied. Eat, eat, eat. You only think about eating. Can't you think about something else? Long Tongue scolded. Is there anything more important than eating array bases? Little Shuai didn't feel embarrassed at all. For a foodie, the most important thing was, of course, delicious food. However, at this moment, a violent roar suddenly sounded from the ground, as if something had exploded. Muyu looked carefully. The Een corpses on the ground that were originally scorched by Master Lu seemed to have been detonated by something, and all of them exploded into countless pitch-black powder. This powder quickly covered the other Een corpses in the air and was swallowed by the other Een corpses. Then, Muyu understood where the chaos of this chaotic array was. After Master Lu's original electric snakes attacked the Een corpses that were contaminated by the black powder, those Een corpses actually became immune to Master Lu's overbearing array technique. The most shocking thing was that the Een corpses that were contaminated by the black powder began to become manic, and even began to attack and bite each other. Once an Een corpse ate the body of another companion, even if it was just a bite, their aura would clearly become stronger. Some of the weaker Een corpses were directly torn apart and swallowed by the stronger Een corpses. The Een corpses of a normal Een corpse array would not kill each other, but it was clear that someone had accidentally messed up the normal spiritual energy lines of this array, causing the Een corpses to kill each other. However, although these Een corpses killed each other, each of them that survived became stronger and stronger. The most important thing was that the Een corpses from the ground were still crawling out, joining in the encirclement of Master Lu. Moreover, compared to devouring their companions, many Een corpses seemed to prefer to devour living people. Chapter 395. Countless Een corpses once again surged forward. Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin's techniques were already ineffective against these Een corpses, so they could only hastily retreat. However, these Een corpses were only immune to Master Lu's array technique. They were not immune to other array techniques, so they still could not affect Master Lu. But they all understood that if they were unable to kill their way out, then what awaited them was only death. They could not hold on for long. The array technique and talisman technique could only temporarily repel these Een corpses, but they could not completely kill them. Moreover, these Een corpses would be immune to the array technique and talisman technique. At that time, they would be powerless to reverse the situation. Master Lu's heart was filled with resentment. The Stargate people did not tell them about the Een corpse array in advance, so they did not even have time to prepare. However, if the Stargate people had told the two masters about the Een corpse array, then they probably would not have chosen to come in. No, if this goes on, then we'll really be finished. I can only use my death style to break the array. Muyu's mind quickly turned. He had to rely on Mu Ling's sword to sneak into the ground and let Little Commander eat the array base. At this moment, The only thing he could do was to run out and throw away his life. He wanted to see which corpse was smart enough to drag him into the ground, making it easier for him to do his job. But this method was actually not wise, because with the corpse's ferocious appearance, they probably would not drag Muyu into the ground, but rather would directly bite him to pieces. But Muyu also thought of something, because the dead people from Stargate were not swallowed at the beginning. Rather, they were turned into a part of the corpse army. What was going on here? I don't think the corpses will eat all the living people. At most, they will eat half a head or a heart or something. Once a living person dies, the corpse array will directly turn them into corpses. After being turned into corpses, even if they are torn apart by the other corpses, they can still be reassembled. So you shouldn't be too worried. Little Commander put forward a very pertinent opinion. What you said makes sense. Muyu thought for a bit, then said, "That's not right, but I don't want half of my head to be eaten." At this moment, a severed soul stage corpse finally noticed Muyu, who was still sitting leisurely in the chaotic battlefield. It roared and punched at Muyu's protective formation. The fist of a spirit severing stage corpse was not a joke. Its strength was shocking. "Feng Mu, be careful!" Master Lu shouted anxiously. At this moment, he was entangled by the corpses and couldn't leave. He could only watch as the corpses in the spirit-severing stage smashed Muyu's protective array with one punch and then continued to rush towards Muyu. In a moment of desperation, Master Lu stretched out a hand, and a powerful formation rune turned into a huge fist that slammed into the severed soul stage corpse. The corpses beside Muyu were cut into several pieces by Master Lu's array, creating a large hole in the ground beside Muyu. It had to be said that the wet ground here was really strange. Master Lu was a spirit-severing stage array master, but this punch only created a 2-meter deep hole. However, this hole was a rare opportunity for Muyu. What he needed most at this moment was to find a place to block people's line of sight, because he did not hesitate to jump into the hole. "Feng Mu, what are you doing? Come to me quickly!" Master Lu shouted. He didn't understand why Muyu would jump into this deep hole. This method was simply courting death. However, countless corpses had already jumped into the deep hole where Muyu was, wanting to bite Muyu. Good opportunity, corpses' little brothers, come quickly. Muyu looked at the dense corpses falling down. He smiled, and then disappeared into Mu Ling's sword. Then Mu Ling's sword turned into a tree root and quickly drilled into the wet soil. "Feng Mu!" Master Lu cried out in alarm, because he could sense that Muyu had already lost his aura. His heart sank. He understood that this low-cultivation culmination stage disciple had already been torn to shreds by the corpses. Is this your Array Faction's Foundation establishment stage, disciple's method of self-protection? Truly stupid. Zhou Jinglin did not forget to ridicule him at this time. Master Lu was very angry. When Muyu had ridiculed Zhou Jinglin, he had thought that this child was quite capable. He was planning to praise him when he returned, but he never thought that he would make such an outrageous move. He sighed. It wasn't that he didn't want to save him, but these corpses were already too much for him to handle. Mu Ling's sword turned into a tree root that carried Muyu through the ground. There were many corpses that would climb up from time to time, but these corpses were not interested in the tree root. Muyu was also happy to be idle, saving him a lot of trouble. How do you think the person who made this dead person array dug this deep? Doesn't he feel tired? Little Shuai complained. Just like you. He has nothing better to do. Dragonvine said, "Nonsense. When have I ever eaten enough? I've never felt full." Little Shuai said in a very simple manner. Muyu also felt that the person who made the array was a pain in the ass. Normally flying 500 meters would only take a blink of an eye, but 500 meters underground was an unreachable distance. Especially when the soil became thicker and thicker, the tree root speed became more and more difficult due to the pressure of the soil. There were still countless corpses struggling to climb up. He didn't know where the nest of these corpses was and why they were still climbing endlessly. A portion of the corpses here had been killed by the corpses over the past few thousand years, just like the Stargate disciple who had died a violent death a few days ago. The others might have been caught when the Desert Eagle Monster King was still alive and forcefully refined into corpses. Quick, quick! There's only 53 meters left. He didn't know how long they had been climbing down. If it wasn't for little Shuai relying on his gluttonous instincts to judge the distance, Muyu wouldn't have known how deep they were underground. But at this time, Mu Ling's tree roots suddenly stepped on air and they arrived in a dark place. There was no longer damp soil. Rather, it seemed like they had arrived in a tunnel. There was a scary soo-soo sound coming from all around them, as well as countless footsteps. I said, there needs to be light. Muyu took out a fist-sized night pearl and threw it out. There were many night pearls like this in the universe bag that Deadwood Daddy had given Muyu. There were over 100 of them. This night pearl had no other use other than for light. When Deadwood Daddy lived in the tree hole in the valley, he used this to replace candles. When Muyu went to the valley for the first time, he had been robbed. The night pearl would release a burst of light when it was injected with spiritual energy. When the soft white light fell onto the ground and illuminated the scene in front of them, Muyu suddenly sucked in a breath of cold air. In front of them were densely packed corpses with tattered clothes slowly moving. Their faces were dull and their expressions were numb. They had arrived at the corpse's nest. Muyu quickly controlled Mu Ling's sword to carefully stick to the wall, not disturbing these corpses. It was a good thing that these corpses weren't very sensitive to sudden light, so their eyes shouldn't be that sensitive. Actually, when the corpses attacked people, they relied on the life chi of living people. Mu Ling's sword was currently covered in death chi from the underworld grass, which was even purer than the corpse's death chi, so it didn't arouse the other side's vigilance. He looked around. This place was like a long and narrow passage. It was 2 meters high and 3 meters wide. The earth above the passage did not fall down, like there was an unknown power supporting it. There were many holes on both sides of the passage that were flickering with gray gas. At this moment, the corpses were crawling into the holes one by one. What was strange was that they actually knew how to line up, and they even knew how to spread out to find a hole with fewer people. They were orderly, not pushing or squeezing. They didn't have the ruthlessness of killing each other on the ground. These fellows are crawling from here to the surface. Muyu was a little surprised. These corpses had suddenly become so quiet that he was not used to it. Could it be that they would only go crazy when they saw living people? Don't worry about them. Let's continue looking for the array base. Filling our stomachs is more important, Little Commander said while drooling. Muyu looked at the two ends of the passage. It was immeasurably deep. He did not know where it led to. He did not plan on going down, but he wanted to see where the corpses came from. Perhaps that was where the array core was. After all, if he wanted Little Commander to eat 10,000 array bases, it would not be a quick matter. If he wanted to break the corpse array, it would be better to directly destroy the array core. Then again, his original intention was not to break the corpse array. If he broke the corpse array, would it make things easier for Stargate? Wishful thinking. As long as Muyu could find the corpse array's array core and find a way to control it, then he would be able to control the corpse array and control all the corpses. Just thinking about it was a very exciting matter. Muyu used the acquired array base and 2 chicken legs to temporarily bribe Little Commander, but he still decided to go down the passage to see what was going on. The night pearl fell to the ground, illuminating the area. This thing could not be used as a one-time use item, so he had to take it with him. He thought of a way. He turned the Mu Ling sword into Little Commander's appearance. Then he stretched out his 2 little feet, stepping on the fist-sized night pearl, and carefully rolled along the wall towards the passage. I think this is very fun. How come I haven't played with it before? Little Commander said in amazement. He found that stepping on a small ball to run around was very interesting. When we get back, I'll make you a big wooden ball for you to play with. You can also play in the water. You won't sink anyway. Muyu casually replied, rolling around the corpse's feet. His heart was still very nervous. He had already seen no less than 20 out-of-body stage corpses walk past. If he was not careful and ran out of the Mu Ling sword, he did not need to think to know that his brain would be eaten by the corpses in the blink of an eye. With the help of the night pearl's light, he carefully avoided the corpses stepping on the night pearl. He also avoided tripping people and disturbing their order, which would be very impolite. After walking for around a quarter of an hour, Mu Yu's ball rolling method no longer worked because there was a flight of stairs at the end of the passage. There was a flight of stairs going up. It was unknown where it led to. There was no light at the top, but an endless stream of corpses numbly walked down the stairs. Mu Yu had Mu Ling's sword pick up the night pearl this time. Then Mu Ling's sword carefully climbed up the stairs. Then he came to a spacious cave. Mu Yu threw out several night pearls, and they rolled into the distance, quickly lighting up the entire cave. This cave was around 20 meters high, but it was unknown how wide it was because his line of sight was blocked by the dense corpses. Then Mu Yu's heart was shocked. He suddenly felt a strong divine sense covering his body. This was the divine sense of a severed soul expert. Corpses did not have a divine sense. They only had their most primitive instincts. Could it be that a corpse had gained sentience? Yeah, there's actually something that dares to come to the great Sand Eagle King city, blaspheming the king's dignity, seeking death. A sharp voice came from the distance. This voice was very unpleasant to hear. It was like someone scratching a table with their fingernails. It echoed through the entire cave. It was very sudden. All the corpses stopped and turned around to look at Mu Yu controlling Mu Ling's sword. Then each corpse began to speak in a low voice, like they were whispering to each other. It made Mu Yu's heart skip a beat. Fuck, there were actually things that could talk here. Chapter 396. Mu Yu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. His heart was filled with nervousness. Being stared at by a large group of corpses, needless to say, it was a terrifying feeling. The worst thing was that there were 3 or 4 severed soul stage corpses around him. Most of the corpses had lost a piece of flesh here and there. Their eye sockets were sunken and their eyeballs were shriveled. Other than being disgusting, they were also very strong. It was not a pleasant thing for them to attack together. Mu Yu looked towards the source of the sound and found that there was a dark green light faintly flashing in a place where the night pearl couldn't reach. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't be able to find it. The other 4 spirit severing stage corpses were guarding the ball of light. They were grinding their teeth, letting out an unpleasant grinding sound. Destroy this foreign thing. The sour and unpleasant voice sounded. Every corpse received this fellow's order, and they all rushed forward, charging towards Mu Ling's sword on the ground. Mu Yu wanted to control Mu Ling's sword to drill into the ground, but he was surprised to find that the ground here was protected by some kind of power. His drilling ability was completely ineffective. I can't make a move above, but I'm not afraid of you here. Since he couldn't run, then he would fight. Mu Ling's sword turned into a long tree whip, directly swinging it. With a series of crackling sounds, the corpses that rushed forward were directly sent flying. When the corpses were sent flying, strange black whip marks were left on their bodies, emitting a trace of black gas, which then entered the corpses' bodies. Mu Yu's tree whip danced in the air. Ghosts came to whip ghosts. Corpses came to whip corpses. Those ferocious corpses were sent flying every time they rushed forward. Mu Yu is also an out-of-body stage cultivator. As long as the 4 severed soul staging corpses did not come, he could temporarily drive away these shrimp soldiers and crab generals. With the help of the night pearl's light, Mu Yu was surprised to find a phenomenon. Originally, the corpses on the ground could be reassembled after being beaten into pieces by Master Lu, but here he had clearly cut off the head of a corpse, but the other side's body was struggling and the head could not return. Could it be that the corpse's regenerative ability doesn't work here? Mu Yu felt this was a little strange, but it was best if the corpse's regenerative ability failed. It was not as strenuous as on the ground. Mu Ling's sword turned into a tree whip and lashed out happily. The corpses only knew how to follow orders and did not have any thoughts of their own. Even if their companions were smashed to pieces, they would still charge forward without hesitation. There was no such thing as fear at all. But going down like this was not a solution, because there were more corpses in this cave than on the surface. Sooner or later Mu Yu's energy would be exhausted. Mu Yu controlled Mu Ling's sword and kept retreating. He wanted to return to the tunnel, but when he glanced sideways, he realized that the tunnel had disappeared. The most important thing was that his tree whip suddenly stopped moving, as if it was being grabbed tightly by something. Mu Yu took a closer look. Damn it! It was actually a spirit-severing stage corpse. This spirit-severing stage corpse did not have the techniques it had when it was alive, but it had the strength of a spirit-severing stage cultivator. It was not something that a spirit-severing stage cultivator like Mu Yu could break free from. Mu Yu simply came out and grabbed Mu Ling's sword, tearing at the corpse. However, his strength was not worth mentioning in front of the other party. The worst thing was that when he appeared, the aura of a living person made the corpses even more crazy. Then countless corpses charged at Mu Yu. The wood spirit sword was tightly grasped by the opponent, so Mu Yu had no way of retrieving it. He could only take out his shadow clone sword, and a sharp sword chi spread out, instantly turning the corpse at the front into a pile of broken bones. But there were too many corpses charging at him. He even saw another spirit-severing stage corpse sending a fist at him. Damn, I'll give you a 10,000 trees towering tree. Lush, shady trees. Mu Yu gave a loud roar, and Mu Ling's sword suddenly sprouted branches. Countless branches spread out from its body and turned into giant trees, protecting Mu Yu. The branches intertwined, and the dense leaves directly pushed away all the corpses. But Mu Yu also discovered that the branches of Mu Ling's trees were all black, and only the leaves were green. This was a very strange phenomenon, but he did not have time to think about it, because the spirit-severing stage corpse's fist slammed into the branches, causing the entire forest to tremble. Many branches were broken, but the broken branches took root and sprouted. In the blink of an eye, the spirit-severing stage corpse was wrapped up like a rice dumpling. And you, have you grabbed enough with your dirty, rotten hands? The other end of Mu Ling's sword was grabbed by the other spirit-severing stage corpses, and Mu Yu still could not pull it out, but this did not stop him from controlling Mu Ling's sword. Countless branches instantly tied up those dirty fellows. The corpses were suddenly thrown into chaos. They desperately tried to rush towards Mu Yu, but after rushing for a short distance, countless branches tripped them and directly swept them away, hanging them upside down, just like wind chimes, densely covering the entire small forest. Selah. Two spirit-severing stage corpses used brute force to break the branches, but they were not humans and did not have their own consciousness. They did not know how to deal with the branches and only knew how to charge at Mu Yu. So Mu Yu tied them up again and again, holding them back. Mu Ling's sword itself was very hard, but once it turned into a plant, its toughness would be the same as the plant. This was its only shortcoming. Ordinary Jinan period cultivators could easily shake a plant into powder. Fortunately, Mu Ling's sword grew very fast and could germinate again in the powder, so it was not afraid of the destruction of the spirit-severing stage corpses. Mu Yu's forest could hold the spirit-severing stage corpses. The most important point was that these corpses did not know how to use spiritual power and only had primitive brute force. The corpses that were hung up by Mu Yu kept struggling in the air, but what was strange was that the death chi on their bodies suddenly became purer and purer. Their struggling movements also slowed down, and finally they slowly stopped struggling. Even the two spirit-severing stage corpses were the same. Why do I feel like I can control these corpses? Mu Yu was very curious as he came in front of a nascent soul stage corpse. This was a human corpse. Half of its teeth had fallen out, and there were 5 finger holes on its forehead. It was pitch black and looked very scary. How about you give me a smile? Mu Yu asked tentatively. The corpse struggled to open its mouth, and then another tooth fell out. Oh damn, quickly raise your hand. Mu Yu blinked his eyes. The corpse actually raised its hand. Wah, I picked up a treasure. This broken sword has the death chi of the underworld grass. That is the purest death chi. These corpses have been contaminated by the death chi and have no choice but to be controlled by this broken sword. Little Commander cried out in surprise. What treasure? You're taking this disgusting thing as a treasure? Isn't it enough to have a fellow like you who deserves a beating? Dragonvine said with dissatisfaction. It did not like these fellows who gave people nightmares. Thinking about it, no one would like them. I'm much more handsome than them, all right? Little Commander snorted. Don't be anxious. Don't be anxious. Wait until we take care of the fellow controlling the Een corpses over there. Muyu knew that these were just the vanguard. The real fierce ones were still behind them. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you ordering them around? Damn, where did all these trees come from? The sour and unpleasant voice rang out again. This time its voice was not calm because the Een corpses it was controlling had actually broken free from its control after being tied up by Muyu. This was clearly something that had never happened before. The fellow behind the scenes, playing tricks. This array has already been taken over by me. You should quickly surrender. Muyu loudly shouted. He was currently controlling 2 spirit-severing Een corpses. These were 2 large killing machines. He did not fear this spirit-severing fellow who could still talk. Jia, I am controlling this array's core. I haven't died yet. So how could you take over this array? The green light in the distance suddenly flashed, but it also found that something was wrong. It did not have Een corpses rush into the forest to die. So you are the fellow controlling the core of the array. Then if I kill you, I can control all the Een corpses. Muyu walked step by step towards the green light. The trees around him continued to grow. The Een corpses that did not have time to retreat were directly wrapped up by the trees. For several thousand years, your human race has sent a total of 42 spirit-severing cultivators to trespass into Sand Eagle King City. Before they could even enter the city, they were all turned into my Een corpses. There are only a few that can truly enter the city. I am very curious. How can an out-of-body cultivator like you control my Een corpse array? The green light became more and more obvious, illuminating the entire cave. Muyu also discovered how big this cave was. It could hold at least 20,000 Een corpses without a problem. Looking around, there were Een corpses shaking their heads. If Muyu did not have this Mu Ling sword, he would have been submerged by the Een corpses and become one of them. Because we are handsome, we can't. Little Handsome proudly interjected. Muyu looked at the green ball of light in front of her in surprise. The ball of light had become as big as a person, and there was a blurry shadow inside it that was getting bigger and bigger. The shadow vaguely looked like a horse, violently raising its front hooves in the ball of light, but the horse slowly transformed into a human figure. Then that human figure stepped out of the light, appearing in front of Muyu like a ghost. This was a black-haired strong man. His face was fierce. There were even fangs at the side of his mouth. The muscles on his body were very exaggerated, as if they contained the strength of 10,000 caddies. A single punch could shatter a small mountain. But his entire body was transparent. It was clear that this was the soul of a demonic beast. I never thought that the one controlling the Een corpse array would be a demonic beast's soul. I'm the best at dealing with demonic beasts. The Mu Ling in Mu Yu's hand was the nemesis of demonic beasts. Although the Mu Ling was lacking a bit of life force, and the trees it transformed into were very strange, the strong death chi could still suppress all souls. Dealing with humans, I am also the best at it. The demonic beast soul coldly looked at Muyu and then looked at the surrounding trees, not showing any fear. Little Handsome suddenly jumped onto Muyu's head and curiously asked, I have a question. Are you a pig demon? Your fangs look like porcupine fangs, and your nose also looks like a pig's. The demonic beast soul angrily shouted, Impudent! You dare compare me to a low-grade porcupine. Listen to me carefully. I'm a left protector of the Sand Eagle Demonic King, Xiangma. Like a horse? No, you look like a pig. Little Handsome was a very honest child. Muyu wanted to hold back his laughter, but Little Handsome's serious words made him unable to hold back, so he couldn't help but laugh out loud. Xiangma flew into a rage out of humiliation. He faced the sky and gave a long cry. Then 2 spirit-severing Een corpses charged to his side, and he angrily charged into one of the Een corpses. This Een corpse was a human, and half of its face was gone, but after Xiang Ma entered its body, the skin on its body suddenly grew back, turning into a man with a sinister look. Chapter 397. Mu Yu took 2 steps back. This guy was originally just a demonic soul. Who would have thought that he could actually merge with the demonic soul he controlled? Not to mention other things, just the aura on his body was hard for Mu Yu to bear. The difference between the severed soul stage and the out-of-body stage was more than 1 level. His current out-of-body stage cultivation was not worth mentioning in front of a severed soul stage cultivator. However, the other side was a combination of an corpse and a monster soul. No matter how powerful he was, he would have to obediently submit in front of Mu Ling. Mu Ling's sword was now both black and white. He killed people without blinking. What monster soul or corpse, he would kill them all. Xiang Ma coldly looked at Mu Yu. He twisted his neck and made an unpleasant creaking sound. Not only that, his whole body also made a crackling sound. Listening to this sound, it felt like his bones had not been moved for thousands of years. It looked like they were rusty. Violating my dignity, you deserve to die 10,000 times. The axe in Xiang Ma's hand suddenly chopped down at Mu Yu's small forest. With a trace of incomparable power, it faintly shattered the air. Mu Yu's heart was slightly startled. He quickly dodged to the side. The small forest where he was standing was suddenly chopped into pieces by Xiang Ma's axe. Fortunately, the broken limbs and leaves sprouted again, turning into a lush forest. He controlled the branches to sweep towards Xiang Ma. As long as the branches touched Xiang Ma's body, Mu Ling's black gas would invade the other side's body. He should be able to subdue him. But Mu Yu soon found that Xiang Ma was different from the corpses that only knew how to charge around. These corpses did not know how to avoid his branches, so he could easily let Mu Ling deal with them. However, Xiang Ma was a conscious corpse. He understood that Mu Yu's trees were strange, so he did not let the branches get close to him. Angry sky, trampling axe. After Xiang Ma and the corpse merged, there was still a strong spiritual power that spread out. His axe instantly became very large, and a green light covered the entire axe. The violent spiritual energy wreaked havoc, and the surrounding spiritual energy became somewhat unstable. Those corpses also ran back in panic, as if they were very afraid of this big axe. You 2 little corpse brothers, attack for me. Mu Yu waved the branches to send the 2 spirit-severing corpses away. They had already been stripped of the corpse array and had become puppets in Mu Yu's hands. The 2 corpses did not hesitate at all as they waved their powerful fists at Xiang Ma. You dare to use my corpse to deal with me? You overestimate yourself. The giant axe in Xiang Ma's hand suddenly chopped down, and countless axe shadows poured out, blotting out the sky as they bombarded the 2 corpses. These 2 corpses brazenly faced the axe shadow without any fear. Their bodies were very tough. Even Mu Yu could not hurt them in the slightest. After being invaded by Mu Ling's death chi, Mu Yu could even clearly feel that the hardness of their bodies had increased by another level. The corpse's fist collided with the axe shadow that filled the sky, and a powerful impact spread out, tearing all the corpses nearby to pieces. The 2 spirit-severing corpses controlled by Mu Yu also heavily fell down, hitting the ground. The ground was very hard, but the 2 of them were actually torn apart. Xiang Ma's strength had surpassed Mu Yu's imagination. It was impossible for Mu Yu to rely on these 2 spirit-severing corpses to defeat him. The 2 spirit-severing corpses' heads had already been separated, and they rolled out. But branches quickly drilled out of the ground and reassembled them. Then the black chi in the branches wrapped around the corpses and entered their bodies. The 2 spirit-severing corpses suddenly opened their mouths and spat out a single syllable. The death chi around them became denser and denser, and the cracks on their bodies began to heal. Yeah, they seemed to like the death chi on Mu Ling's body. Mu Yu was a little surprised. The death chi on Mu Ling's body could quickly heal the wounds on their bodies and increase the toughness of their bodies by another level. Muyu remembered that the black and white spiritual energy in his body was very strange. Once his body was injured, the black spiritual energy would gnaw away the injured tissue, and the white spiritual energy would regenerate the tissue. The black and white spiritual energy in his body also changed because of the underworld grass, so, in a sense, they were connected. The two spirit-severing corpses under Mu Yu's control charged at Xiangma again. They didn't know whether they could win or not. They only knew how to charge forward. Xiangma was shocked and angry. He also found that there was something wrong with the two corpses. He waved the giant axe in his hand again, and the green axe shadow chopped down. The two spirit-severing corpses collided with the axe shadow again. As expected, they couldn't resist Xiang Ma's strength and fell to the ground again. But what surprised Xiang Ma was that the two spirit-severing corpses didn't split into pieces like before. The two corpses got up again and continued to charge forward. Muyu wasn't idle on the side. He could only control the two corpses to deal with Xiang Ma. At the same time, he would stretch out branches from time to time, waiting for an opportunity to touch Xiang Ma's body. Unfortunately, Xiang Ma was already prepared. The spiritual energy in his body would always destroy Mu Yu's branches. Boy, I control the entire corpse array. My strength is endless. Do you want to waste a lifetime with me? Xiang Ma couldn't do anything to Mu Yu for a while, but Mu Yu couldn't do anything to him, so the two of them fell into a deadlock. Hold on a little longer. I'll definitely be able to deal with you. Muyu didn't really think that there would be a winner if they continued to fight like this. Little Shuai said that there were more than 10,000 array bases underground. More than 10,000 array bases weren't simple things. The corpse array that could last for thousands of years was not something that could be casually said. A single array base could easily consume all of its spirit energy, but when 10,000 array bases were combined, the amount of spirit energy consumed by the array would greatly decrease. When setting up a large-scale array, one would try to think of ways to extend the array's lifespan as much as possible. This was a part of a high-level array. This corpse array would most likely be able to operate for thousands of years without a problem. His hands were already flashing with black and white spiritual energy, quickly crisscrossing in the corner, drawing lines on the ground. He was prepared to use the swift swallow returning to nest array to find Xiang Ma's weakness. No matter what Xiang Ma's cultivation was, he would have a weakness when he attacked. Only by attacking his weakest point would he have a chance to defeat this guy. But this array had too many limitations. He still hadn't solved the problem of the array base, so he could only sharpen his spear at the last minute. Moreover, even if he set up the swift swallow returning to nest array, the innate array base could only be used a few times. Adding in the fact that the target was at the spirit severing stage, he had to make sure that the swallows he summoned hit Xiang Ma. This was very difficult, but if he could hit one of the swallows, it would be enough for Mu Yu to find the enemy's weak point. This was also a chance, otherwise he would really be finished if he continued to fight. Mu Yu set up the swift swallow returning to nest array much faster this time. He had already grasped the essence of the array, so it only took him a quarter of an hour to set it up. In this quarter of an hour, the two spirit-severing stage corpses and Xiang Ma had already fought over 100 rounds, but neither side seemed to be exhausted. 9 black and white swallows suddenly rushed out from the array under Mu Yu's feet. Their speed was very fast. Mu Yu had pondered for a long time before he gradually understood how to control these swallows to fly faster. Countless twigs and branches coiled around the colt, and the 9 swallows were hidden in the forest, ready to strike. Victory or defeat would be decided in one move. Mu Yu also rushed out of the forest and attacked Xiang Ma with the 2 spirit-severing stage corpses. Xiang Ma saw Mu Yu rushing over and suddenly gave a cold smile. "Brat, you finally came out to die." The axe in his hand had already split into 2. This time an even more terrifying aura enveloped Mu Yu. Xiao Ma was quite angry now. He was a demon clan in the spirit-severing stage. Although he was refined into the eye of the corpse formation and survived in the form of a demon soul, He was still not someone a young man in the out-of-body stage could look down on. But he never thought that this human youth would be so difficult to deal with. Those black branches and green leaves were very strange. They would grow back in the blink of an eye after being destroyed. He couldn't touch them, making his hands and feet tied. He also didn't know where Mu Yu was hiding in the forest. At this moment, seeing Mu Yu take the initiative to come out to die, he didn't hesitate to use his axe to attack. Shua, the attack speed of a spirit-severing stage cultivator, had reached an incredible level. The out-of-body stage Mu Yu didn't have the ability to react at all. He was directly chopped by Xiang Ma's axe. Xiang Ma was about to reveal a victorious smile when he suddenly froze. Then his face became very ugly. This was because he discovered that the wooden feather before him did not split into two as he had imagined. Instead, it exploded and turned into fragments of runes that filled the air. Illusion Array Technique. This was a very basic Zhongtian array technique. It could use an array to create an illusion of oneself. Whether the illusion was real or not, whether it could deceive the world or not, it was related to the array master's understanding of the array. Mu Yu's array technique was actually not very real. If it was outside, an out-of-body stage cultivator would be able to see that this illusion was fake. But Xiaomar really wanted to kill Mu Yu. So when Mu Yu's illusion appeared, he didn't hesitate to attack it. With this attack, a gap appeared behind him. Like a pig die, Mu Yu's real figure appeared behind Xiaoma. Countless branches carried him towards Xiaoma's back. At this moment, the two spirit-severing stage corpses also send a punch towards Xiaoma. Xiaoma was attacked from both sides, but his reaction was extremely fast. How could someone who could become the protector of the Sand Eagle Monster King be ordinary? I'm called Xiaoma. Xiaoma angrily shouted. A spiritual energy barrier emerged from his body. Suddenly, all the branches were shattered, not giving Mu Yu any chance. The two corpses were also kicked in the head by him. They directly flew out and smashed into the ground. However, the 9 black swallows directly penetrated the spiritual energy barrier on his body and merged into his body, disappearing without a trace. Everything was just a feint. The main point was to let the swallows return to their nest. What is this? How did they break through my spiritual energy barrier? Xiang Ma was shocked. He quickly checked his body, but he didn't find any abnormalities. The 9 black and white swallows were like stones sinking into the sea after entering his body. They became silent. The swallows' return to nest formation didn't have any lethality. Although it had many shortcomings, the advantage was that spiritual energy barriers were ineffective against it. Only some special attacks could block it. Xiang Ma's attention was distracted by Mu Yu, which allowed the swallows to silently hit him. Do you think you can beat me with your fancy moves? Xiang Ma moved his muscles and bones. His bones once again crackled. He looked at Mu Yu's voice in disdain. Chapter 398. Although the 9 swallows all hit Xiang Ma, Mu Yu did not have a complacent look on his face. This was because using this kind of array on a severed soul stage cultivator was very strenuous. It would consume a lot of his spiritual power and spiritual energy. The most important thing was that even if Xiang Ma's weak point appeared, Mu Yu might not be able to break through it. Originally, Mu Yu had no chance of winning against a severed soul stage cultivator, but because he could freely control the trees in this dark place, and Xiang Ma was very afraid of Mu Ling's sword, Mu Yu had the capital to fight against a severed soul stage cultivator. But even so, a severed soul stage cultivator's speed was too fast. Mu Yu could not keep up. He had to think of another way. At this time, Xiang Ma's axe was raised high again. The terrifying killing intent once again spread in all directions, crushing the surrounding lush forest. At the same time, a black and white light appeared at the tip of his elbow. This was Xiang Ma's weak point. The flexible swallow returns to nest array quickly activated. In an instant, nearly 1/5 of Mu Yu's spiritual energy was taken away. It was too strenuous to use this array technique on the cult, so he had to end the battle quickly. The 2 severed soul stage corpses once again attacked from the front. Countless branches wrapped around Xiang Ma from all directions. Among them, there was a small branch that went straight for Xiang Ma's elbow. But Xiang Ma's body suddenly erupted with powerful spiritual energy. The powerful axe shadow splashed out like a storm of pearflower needles. The axe shadow went from small to large, bringing with it an insufferably powerful impact, destroying all the branches that came close to it. This time, he directly released his spiritual energy, making the branches unable to come close. There was a large gap around him, giving Mu Yu no chance to approach. "Boy, I know you want to touch my body. I want to see how you will play hide and seek with me." Xiao Ma laughed wildly. At the same time, the weak point on his elbow disappeared. Mu Yu had fallen into a dilemma. His mind was spinning rapidly, thinking of the best countermeasure. Using the agile swallow returns to its nest once consumed 1/5 of his spiritual energy. It seemed like he could only use it 5 times at most. At this moment, Xiang Ma had already noticed his intentions. With Xiang Ma's ability, he would not make the same mistake twice. He would definitely guard against Mu Yu at all times. Mu Yu's speed was still too slow. He took out a Tier 6 Imperial Wind Pill and swallowed it. The Imperial Wind Pill could increase his speed to the Severed Spirit stage, or even faster than a Severed Spirit stage cultivator. He still had a few Destiny Bone Emperor pills in his hands. The Destiny Bone Emperor pill could forcibly resist a Spirit Severing stage cultivator for a quarter of an hour without dying. Of course, this varied from person to person. Xiang Ma's cultivation was much stronger than Shi Dingtian's. Mu Yu estimated that he wouldn't be able to hold on for a quarter of an hour in Xiang Ma's hands. He could only give it his all. Mu Yu removed the entire forest. Mu Ling's sword transformed into tiny vines that twined around his clothes. He stared at Xiang Ma from afar, but the aura on his body became somewhat strange. "What? You're not going to hide it anymore?" Xiang Ma sneered. From the beginning to the end, he didn't put Mu Yu in his eyes. He was only afraid of those annoying branches. Now that Mu Yu had put away all the branches, it was exactly what he wanted. Mu Yu was too lazy to talk nonsense with him. The shadow sword in his hand had already slashed out, and the sky was filled with sword shadows that fell fiercely towards Xiang Ma. These sword shadows were only the attack of the out-of-body stage. In the eyes of Xiang Ma, they were so ridiculous. He just snorted, and a powerful spiritual energy spread out, and all the sword shadows instantly disappeared. But Mu Yu's figure had also disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already above Xiang Ma's head. After taking the Imperial Wind Pill, his speed was beyond Xiang Ma's imagination, and even made Xiang Ma slightly surprised. Xiang Ma had just raised his head, and countless branches had already covered him. Xiang Ma was too careless. He didn't expect that Mu Yu's speed would suddenly soar. For a moment, he was unprepared, and the branches had already touched his shoulder. Although he shattered these branches at once, he still felt that something that made his heart palpitate had sneaked into his body and gradually let him get rid of the control of this corpse. Xiao Ma was shocked and angry. A bloody hole suddenly appeared on his head, and a transparent shadow quickly rushed out of the bloody hole. Its speed was extremely fast, and it quickly dodged the branches that were coming towards him and integrated into another severed soul stage corpse not far away. At this time, the corpse had become broken again and was controlled by Mu Yu. But even Mu Yu didn't expect that the agile swallow returning nest formation would follow the monster soul into the corpse's body like a shadow. "Good boy, I underestimated you." Xiang Ma stared at the 3 severed soul stage corpses in front of him. These 3 corpses were originally under his control, but he didn't expect that Mu Yu would take away his control at this moment. Mu Yu's figure disappeared again. The Imperial Wind Pill increased his speed to the extreme, and he rushed over with the other 3 severed soul staging corpses. If he wanted to fight, he had to let Xiang Ma catch his breath. He estimated that Mu Yu wouldn't have much of a chance. However, Xiang Ma's face suddenly revealed a strange grin. "Do you really think that I only have this little ability?" Countless green lights burst out from his body, and each light turned into a group of phosphorescent flames, swaying in the air, looking particularly scary. All the phosphorescent flames directly rushed towards the three severed soul stage incorpses. The three incorpses didn't know how to dodge at all, and were ignited by the green phosphorescent flames. The green phosphorescent flames instantly wrapped around the three of them, turning them into charcoal and falling to the ground. This time, the three incorpses didn't get up again. Muyu dodged the phosphorescent flames. The phosphorescent flames brushed past his hair and were thrown behind him. However, at this moment, a ghost hand suddenly stretched out from the phosphorescent flames and slapped Muyu on the back. Muyu felt his body shake violently. If it weren't for the heavenly mandate Bone Emperor pill making his body as hard as iron, this palm would have split him open. Xiang Ma took this opportunity to twist behind Muyu and chop down with his axe at Muyu's head. Muyu was slapped by the ghost hand, and before he could react, the axe fell on his neck. It had to be said that the heavenly mandate Bone Emperor pill was indeed a good thing, otherwise he would have been decapitated this time. Damn it, what a fast speed! Muyu cursed in a low voice. He had already seen the 2 weak points on Xiang Ma's body, but he had no way to attack his weak points. There was not much spiritual power left in his body. He was afraid that if he used the agile swallow returns to its nest again, he could only wait for death. When Xiang Ma saw that his axe did not split Muyu apart, his face showed an unbelievable expression. However, Muyu's aura was clearly getting weaker, which made him feel a little relieved. He understood that Muyu must have used some special method of the human race to achieve this, but this method could not last forever. Die, boy! I will kill you and make you a member of my Corpse army. Xiang Ma smiled fiercely, and, at the same time, the axe in his hand chopped down at Muyu without any hesitation. Muyu's feet moved like the wind, and the falling dust steps was already used. Combined with the speed of the Imperial Wind Pill, he dodged the axe. However, the spiritual power in his body was already exhausted. He took a spirit-restoring pill to replenish the spiritual power in his body. However, misfortune never came alone, because he found that the innate array that maintained the agile swallow returns to its nest flashed twice, and then it cracked, and the entire array stopped working. The agile swallow returns to its nest failed. When it rains, it pours. Can it get any worse? This was the first time Muyu fought with a severed soul stage cultivator, and this battle was not like the last time he fought with Shi Dangtian. Shi Dangtian was an alchemist, and his fighting strength was low. Moreover, Muyu relied on the sword intent left by the nameless swordsman to fight against Shi Dangtian. But at this moment, the sword intent had dissipated. In this dark underground, he was isolated and helpless, and no one would come save him. The effect of the Bone Emperor pill was about to reach its end. If he could not defeat Xiang Ma before the Bone Emperor pill lost its effect, then he would really fall today. Xiang Ma's powerful axe chopped down, and Muyu's spiritual power was almost exhausted. He suddenly thought of something. Xiang Ma was only the monster soul controlling the array core, and not the array core. At this moment, he ran out of the array core. Didn't it mean that there was no one guarding the array core? Little Commander, the array core is nearby. I will use the peeping array technique to find the array core again. Help me take control of it. Array runes surged in Muyu's hands, and the peeping array technique erupted. Dense array runes spread out from his feet and spread out in all directions. This time, his peeping array technique worked, because the ground around him was covered with the array runes of the Corpse array. His peeping formation technique followed the pattern of the Corpse formation and found a brick-sized pale green crystal that was slowly rotating on a platform. This is it. I will delay him. You quickly find a way to control that crystal. That is the host of the monster soul. Muyu gritted his teeth and decided to stake it all. He no longer dodged but faced the axe head-on. At this moment, Little Commander directly jumped out, and his figure flashed and disappeared into the darkness. Muyu grabbed Xiang Ma's axe with both hands. The Bone Emperor pill's effect in his body was gradually fading. The pressure on his hand was getting stronger and stronger. The powerful and overbearing spiritual power acted on his arm, causing his arm to crack. Fortunately, the black and white spiritual power in his body began to quickly devour and repair it, so he was barely able to resist. At the same time, the vines on his body had rolled along the axe to Xiang Ma's hand. Xiang Ma made a prompt decision and directly let go of the axe. His whole body retreated, avoiding the vines. Mu Yu's strength was finally exhausted, and he fell heavily to the ground, gasping for breath. "Ha! Let's see how you resist me." Xiang Ma laughed wildly, and countless phosphorescence appeared around him. All of a sudden, the phosphorescence spread towards Mu Yu. "Like a pig. What are you so arrogant for?" Little Commander's voice suddenly came from the darkness. Xiang Ma angrily turned his head and shouted, "It's Xiang Ma." When he saw the crystal in Xiao Shuai's hands, his expression changed drastically. "You don't look like a horse at all. You look like a pig." Little Commander laughed and bit towards the crystal. "No!" Xiang Ma screamed in horror and hurriedly rushed towards the crystal stone. Mu Yu seized this opportunity and dodged the phosphorescence. The sky full of branches suddenly drilled out from Xiang Ma's back and tied him up tightly. Pure death chi instantly invaded Xiang Ma's body. His demon soul couldn't escape this time and was completely devoured by Mu Ling. Mu Yu let out a long breath. Seeing that Little Commander was about to take a second bite, he hurriedly said, "Little Commander, you can't eat this later. We still need to use this to control the Een Corpse formation to deal with the people from Stargate. After dealing with the people from Stargate, I'll let you eat all the base of the Een Corpse formation." Chapter 399. This crystal was the eye of the Een Corpse array. All of the Een Corpses would listen to this crystal's control. Xiang Ma had been sacrificed to become the eye of the Een Corpse array thousands of years ago. He relied on this crystal to survive, so every time someone invaded here, he would personally control the Een Corpses to kill. Unfortunately, his life was still ended by Mu Ling's sword. Mu Yu held this crystal. The entire Een Corpse array's patterns already clearly appeared in his mind. This Een Corpse array was very complicated. The demon race who could set up this array was definitely not simple. At least their attainments in array techniques were higher than Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin. Whether it was the human race, Yaman, or the demon race, they all had their own way of setting up arrays. In comparison, the human race's array techniques were better. This was also the reason why the human race was more powerful than the other two races. Last time Mu Yu was in Mist Breath City, he saw how the cultivators led by the medicine master relied on their powerful array techniques to destroy Yaman. But in the end, the demon race and Yaman's array techniques were actually not that bad. The entire Een Corpse array was set up under the entire Sand Eagle King City. The core of the array was deep underground, not hidden at all. The runes on the ground were mainly used to maintain the Een Corpse's death aura, but it was unknown who had changed the runes on the ground, causing the Een Corpses to become even more manic and devour each other. Since ancient times, the human race had countless strange people. It was possible that someone skilled in array techniques came here and did something. Mu Yu could not rely on this crystal alone to fix the array patterns that had been changed, perhaps to Xiang Ma. This kind of small change would be more beneficial to resisting the invaders, so he did not care about the array patterns that had problems. Relying on this crystal, Mu Yu was finally able to make the Een Corpses obediently listen to him. But this was his first time controlling the Een Corpse array. He was still a little unfamiliar. He could not control all of the Een Corpses at once. He had to first familiarize himself with how the Een Corpse array worked. Fortunately, when all of the Een Corpses were moving, Mu Yu could see what they saw. Mu Yu quickly searched the Een Corpses on the ground. He wanted to see Master Lu's current situation from their eyes. At this moment, the situation on the ground was very tragic. They could not hold on any longer. Master Lu's face was very pale, his forehead was sweating, and his eyes flashed with despair. The strangeness of the Een Corpses here was beyond his imagination. Even though he was a Xiantian array master, he couldn't find the array eye and array base because the array pattern was hidden too cleverly, and the core was deep underground, so he couldn't find the array I in array base, let alone break the array. At this moment, Master Lu's heart was filled with anxiety. He had used his powerful array technique to kill a large number of corpses, but the corpses that were killed would explode and be swallowed by their companions, making them immune to his array technique. The same array technique could not be used a second time, and Master Lu did not have Mu Yu's Mu Ling that could restrain corpses, so he was already at his wit's end. Zhou Jinglin's situation was even worse than Master Lu's. His body was covered with wounds, and the guardian boy Hu Shi's arm had been bitten off by the corpses. The wound was still dripping with blood. Hu Shi's entire body was on the verge of collapse. His eyes were half open. He could be torn to shreds by the corpses at any moment. Zhou Jinglin looked at his guardian boy. His eyes flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. A red talisman paper suddenly appeared in his hand. Strange runes covered it. He did not hesitate to place the talisman paper on his guardian boy's body. "Master Yu." Hu Shi saw the red talisman paper. His face suddenly changed. Zhou Jinglin snorted. "Hu Shi, when I took you in as the guardian of the formation, your life was already mine. At this time, we are all in danger. I can only rely on you to escape. Otherwise, we will all die here. Don't blame me for being ruthless." "Master Zhou, I have always been loyal to you. How can you do this to me?" Hu Shi's pupils shrank. As Master Zhou's guardian boy, how could he not know what the red talisman paper was? It was a kind of self-explosion talisman. As long as it was placed on someone's body, it would trigger the self-explosion talisman. The self-explosion talisman would directly detonate the spiritual power in that person's body, creating a huge lethality. Hu Shi's cultivation was at the nascent soul stage. If he became the target of the self-explosion talisman, the power produced was equivalent to an out-of-body stage full-force attack, enough to kill a large number of corpses. The desire to survive made him want to break free, but his arm had already been broken, and Zhou Jinglin was a spirit-severing, innate talisman master. How could Hu Shi have the ability to resist? His whole body was imprisoned by Zhou Jinglin. He couldn't move. "I know you have always been loyal to me. I will always remember you." Zhou Jinglin took out a green talisman paper and slapped it on Hu Shi's chest. The runes in his hand surged and poured into the self-explosion talisman. Hu Shi's eyes widened in horror. He roared loudly, but his whole body was involuntarily flying towards Master Lu. "Zhou Jinglin, what are you doing?" Master Lu was enraged. This Zhou Jinglin not only wanted to sacrifice his guardian boy to give him a chance to escape, he even wanted to drag Master Lu down with him. Master Lu wanted to retreat, but it was already too late. Hu Shi's body suddenly exploded, filling the sky with blood mist. It was unknown what Zhou Jinglin had done to this blood mist, but it actually exploded with vitality. It was like a large group of living people had suddenly appeared, attracting the attention of all the corpses. Once a living person was killed by the corpses, their vitality would scatter and the corpses would no longer attack. However, Zhou Jinglin was able to make Hu Shi's body explode with a powerful vitality. In an instant, all the corpses rushed towards the blood fog wave after wave. The most terrible thing was that Master Lu was currently in the middle of the blood mist. "Zhou Jinglin, you are so vicious. You even killed your own people." Master Lu angrily fought with the corpses. Hu Shi's explosion was only on the level of an out-of-body cultivator, so naturally it would not injure him. But his body was also covered in the blood mist. All the corpses went crazy when they saw the blood mist. They recklessly charged at him. Not a single one of them cared about Zhou Jinglin. Zhou Jinglin gave a cruel smile. He seized his chance to charge into the barrier. At this time, Master Lu was already exhausted from being surrounded by the corpses. He was not paying attention and was knocked down to the ground by two spirit-severing corpses. Countless withered hands grabbed at his body, wanting to tear off his flesh. One of the corpse's fingernails had already pierced his chest, wanting to dig out his heart. There was even another withered hand whose fingernails were only an inch away from Master Lu's eyes. "Even if I die, I won't become a member of your group." Master Lu angrily roared. The runes on his body quickly flashed. He actually wanted to use the array to explode. Don't. That is our honest Master Lu. All of you stop for me. Muyu had just seen the scene of Wuxi being forced to explode by Zhou Jinglin. He was still shocked. Seeing Master Lu about to explode, he suddenly gave a loud shout, making all the Yin corpses stop their movements. Although there was a problem with the runes on the ground that made the Yin corpses very wild, they still listened to the command of the array core. All the Yin corpses stopped moving, and the withered hands that were grabbing at Lu Xianshi suddenly stopped in midair. Some of the Yin corpses were originally rushing forward, but when they received Mu Yu's order to stop, they stopped. As a result, their center of gravity was unstable, and they directly fell to the ground, and several of their teeth were knocked out. Master Lu was panting heavily. He looked at the Yin corpses surrounding him in shock. He did not understand why these Yin corpses suddenly stopped. He thought that he was done for. He wanted to explode and drag them down with him, but the development of this matter was outside of his expectations. Then the runes on his body also slowly calmed down. Perhaps there was still a chance for things to turn around. Muyu, I have a bold idea. Little Shuai suddenly said with interest. I also have an idea. Muyu rolled his eyes. What do you two want to do? Longting asked in a depressed voice. I want the Yin corpses to do the zombie dance. Little Shuai said. I want the Yin corpses to do morning exercises. Muyu said, what is the zombie dance? What is morning exercises? Muyu grinned. When he was in Flowing Water Village, the village head grandfather liked to take a group of little brats to do morning exercises, shaking their hands and shaking their butts, saying it was to exercise their bodies. Zombie dance, I'll show you. Little Shuai jumped onto the crystal and then stood up. His two little claws were raised in front of his chest. Then he stuck out his tongue, tilted his head, then jumped. His whole body was like he was having an epileptic seizure. Fuck, where did you learn this messy dance? Muyu didn't know whether to laugh or cry as he asked. Didn't you teach me? Little Shuai said in a strange voice. When did I teach you this kind of strange dance? Muyu's eyes opened wide. He definitely wouldn't stick out his tongue and tilt his head. You forgot. The first time we went to Withered Tree Valley, when we met the Heavenly Monster Tree. In order to get close to the Heavenly Monster Tree, you danced like this. At that time, I was eaten by the Heavenly Monster Fruit and was almost digested. Little Shuai said in a serious voice. You were digested? Are you joking? Your skin is so thick. Is there anything that can digest you? Also, you were eaten by the Heavenly Monster Fruit. How could you see Muyu dance? Long Tongue snorted. Who told you that I couldn't see the situation outside after being eaten? Little Shuai was very proud. At that time, he was inside the fake Heavenly Monster Fruit. He could see through the gaps between the Heavenly Monster Fruit's teeth. Muyu remembered, at that time, in order to get close to the Heavenly Monster Tree, he had displayed all his talents, including a dance that didn't have any beauty. Thinking of Deadwood Daddy, his heart was filled with guilt, but he suddenly thought of Stargate and had an idea. Looks like I have to teach those Stargate bastards a lesson. You want to enter Sand Eagle King City. How could I let you do as you wish? Little Shuai, you lead the dance. You can play with these Yin corpses however you want, but you have to make Master Lu feel that the danger of the Yin corpse array has been removed. Muyu clenched his fist. Little Shuai happily stepped on the crystal, and all the Yin corpses were under his control. Then Little Shuai happily led all the Yin corpses in a zombie dance. Master Lu, you have to quickly go out. Tell the people from Stargate that the Yin corpse array has been broken and they can come in. I want to leave a deep impression on the people from Stargate. Muyu wished he could directly tell these words to Master Lu, letting him quickly go out and trick the people from Stargate into coming in. As long as the Yin corpses did not take the initiative to attack, once Master Lu escaped and explained the situation to the people from Stargate, the people from Stargate would definitely rush in. When the time comes, I'll teach you a lesson. Master Lu was surprised as he looked at the situation in front of him. The aggressive Yin corpses suddenly couldn't help stretching out their arms and jumping around, even sticking out their tongues. There were even some Yin corpses that stuck out their tongues, causing several of their teeth to fall out. But the teeth that fell out of the Yin corpses would jump back on their own. They would be the same as they were before they died, Even if they lost their heads, they would still be able to put them back on. Master Lu pulled at his beard. He was a little stunned. Is there a problem with this chaotic array? Master Lu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. This was the first thing that came to his mind. Sometimes a chaotic array could make an array very bad. Sometimes it could also make an array harmless to humans and animals. Perhaps the dancing corpses at this moment was the latter possibility. Master Lu carefully climbed up and quickly ran towards the hole where Muyu had disappeared. Unfortunately, Muyu was no longer in the hole. He regretfully shook his head and heavily sighed. Feng Mu, it's all my fault. I really shouldn't have let you in. Master Lu was not like Zhou Jinglin, who was cruel and merciless to his disciples. On the contrary, he took care of the Zhongtian disciples. The development of the Array faction depended on these Zhongtian disciples. He hoped that some of them could become Xiantian disciples. Although in his eyes this old and low cultivation, Feng Mu could not possibly be the kind of genius. The death of a disciple still made him feel sad. Master Lu would never have thought that the corpse array in front of him was solved by the old and low cultivation Feng Mu. Not to mention that the mysterious genius who had broken the array tablet in his heart was the one who had just jumped into the hole he had dug. Master Lu helplessly shook his head, looking at the distant Sand Eagle King City. He was not in the mood to approach this city. At this moment, he just wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. He cautiously avoided the dancing corpses, making sure that they would not attack again, and then left the corpse array without looking back. Muyu knew that Stargate would not give up. What he needed to do now was to wait for the rabbit to come, and let these corpses dance to welcome the people from Stargate. But the most important thing right now was to quickly adjust his body. The spirit-severing stage, Xiang Ma, had almost killed him, and his injuries had not completely healed. Chapter 400. Master Lu didn't walk far when he met Tian Bue and the others. When he saw the people from Stargate, his face was filled with anger. If it wasn't for the people from Stargate not figuring things out beforehand, Feng Mu wouldn't have died, and even he almost lost his life. Master Lu, what's the situation inside? Tian Bue asked gently. Although Master Lu's eyes were filled with anger, he wasn't afraid at all. At this moment, Master Lu's aura was very low. If he wanted to get angry, he needed to have the strength to do so. Master Lu held back his anger. In this situation, he could only suffer in silence. Not to mention that Stargate was a huge monster for their Array faction. Even if he wanted to ask for an explanation from Stargate, with the tyrannical means of Stargate, they could choose to ignore him and even kill him to silence him. He angrily looked at Tian Bue, and then his eyes fell on Zhou Jinglin in the crowd. At this moment, Zhou Jinglin's face was still fawning over Tian Bue and the others. He didn't show the slightest dissatisfaction because he almost lost his life just now. This guy was not only cruel and merciless, but also had no backbone. Even if he was betrayed, he still had a humble appearance. It was really shameful. Zhou Jinglin, you run really fast. Master Lu looked at Zhou Jinglin with contempt. Just now, Zhou Jinglin had kicked his guardian boy to his side to detonate it. It was clear that he wanted to attract all the corpses' attention to Master Lu so that he could escape. Zhou Jinglin's goal was indeed achieved. All the corpses rushed towards Master Lu. He found a gap to escape from the corpse array. However, when he saw that Master Lu was still alive, he was very surprised, because if it was anyone else, it would be impossible to escape in that situation. Master Lu, you are really lucky, Zhou Jinglin said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. In fact, he also resented Tian Bu in his heart. He had almost lost his life there, but when he thought of how he had managed to snatch the arrayed business from Master Lu's hands with great difficulty, no matter how much resentment he could only swallow it into his stomach. Stargate, Talisman Sect, couldn't afford to offend them. Zhou Jinglin, the matter of you framing me in the corpse array, I will definitely make you pay for it in the future. Also, the heavens do not wait for young master. In the future, if you want others to break the formation, Please explain everything clearly. It was because of your concealment that I lost a guardian formation, boy. This was something that could have been avoided. Master Lu coldly said, "It's just a guardian." I remember that Master Lu's guardian was only a foundation establishment disciple. His loss was not heavy. Master Zhou lost a nascent soul stage guardian. Tian Bue said with a smile. Zhou Jinglin's face turned white and red. His guardian boy was killed by him and not by the Yin Corpse's hands. Master Lu was furious. The heavens don't wait for young master. My array faction isn't as big as your Stargate. Every one of our disciples was painstakingly nurtured. Losing even one of them is very painful for us. Now that the formation has been broken by me alone, I think it's time for Stargate to fulfill its promise, right? The formation has been broken? Tian Bue's eyes showed a trace of surprise. From Tian Jinqing's mouth, he already knew the horror of the Yin Corpse array. When Zhou Jinglin came out, he also asked Zhou Jinglin again. Zhou Jinglin said that the Yin Corpse array was too strange. Even Master Lu died in the hands of the Yin Corpse. But at this moment, Master Lu not only came back alive, but also said that the Yin Corpse array had been broken. Tian Bue turned his head to look at Zhou Jinglin. Zhou Jinglin also had a face of doubt. He reprimanded Master Lu. Master Lu, the Yin Corpse array is such a strange formation. How can you break it by yourself? I think you have ulterior motives and want to lure the people of Stargate in to die, so that you can vent your anger, right? Master Lu sneered. Do you think everyone's mind is as vicious as yours? If you don't believe me, you can let someone enter the formation and check it out at the edge. If there is a problem, you can withdraw in time. When the time comes, you will know whether the formation has been broken or not. Do you still need to doubt me here? Tian Bue pondered for a long time, then turned to Tian Jiansheng, who was at the combination stage, and said, "Uncle Cheng, your cultivation is the highest here. How about you go in and check it out?" Tian Jiansheng looked at Master Lu suspiciously, then nodded and said, "Master Lu, please wait here for a moment. If the Yin Corpse array has been broken, then you will naturally be rewarded." Tian Jiansheng went to the Yin Corpse array, and Master Lu sat down cross-legged and began to adjust his breathing. The battle with the Yin Corpse army just now had consumed most of the spiritual power in his body, and even many of the precious innate foundation spirit chi had been used up. He had to go back and draw the array again. Zhou Jinglin was very anxious in his heart, because if what Master Lu said was true, then the credit this time was all Master Lu's, and it had nothing to do with him at all. Stargate was the object he had always wanted to curry favor with. So in front of Tian Bue, he would swallow his anger, but if this limelight was stolen by Master Lu, then he would really complain secretly. After about half an hour, Tian Jiansheng finally came back, and there was a trace of disbelief on his face. "How is the situation?" Tian Bue asked. Tian Jiansheng nodded slightly and said with a strange expression, "The Yin Corpse array is still there, but all the Yin Corpses seem to have a problem." "They are actually dancing? The Yin Corpses are dancing?" Everyone looked at each other and looked at Tian Jiansheng strangely. How could the Yin Corpses, who killed without blinking, dance? If Tian Jiansheng wasn't the person with the highest cultivation here, maybe no one would believe what he said. But this was still a very funny thing. Could the Yin Corpses really dance? "What's the specific situation?" Tian Bue asked. I confirmed it. When I walked into the Yin Corpse array, all the Yin Corpses didn't attack me, but rather they were dancing in a very strange way. I carefully walked around them and walked towards the Sand Eagle King city gate. When I reached the city gate, the Yin Corpses were still dancing, so I walked back again. When Tian Jiansheng said this, even he didn't dare believe it. After living for so long, he had never seen such a strange thing like the Yin Corpses dancing. That's because I just changed the Yin Corpse array pattern, causing the Yin Corpse array to change again, making all the Yin Corpses lose their attacking power. Master Lu made up a story, but no one could explain the situation inside. So in order to convince the people of Stargate, he took his reward and left. So he went all out. How is this possible? The Yin Corpse formation's runes are hidden. How could you possibly find it? Zhou Jinglin was an experienced, innate talisman master, and his array technique was almost the same as Master Lu's, but he also couldn't find the Corpse array pattern. Our array technique is naturally more powerful than your talisman technique. You can't find it, but that doesn't mean I can't find it. Master Lu finally found a good opportunity to ruthlessly ridicule Zhou Jinglin, and his face was a little proud. Although the Corpse's dancing had nothing to do with him, it was useless for Zhou Jinglin to not believe it, because the people of Stargate had confirmed the fact that the Corpse array would no longer attack people. Tian Bue pondered for a moment and said, Master Lu, this time the Corpse array was broken because of your contribution. I will give you the original 4 million spirit stones. But I have a request, because whether the Corpse array will have any problems, no one can say for sure. So I need you to go in with us again, and if something happens, you can solve it in time. After it's done, I will give you another million. What do you think? This extremely shrewd guy was actually so cunning. Even if Tian Jiansheng was indeed fine, but looking at Tian Bue's appearance, he didn't completely believe what Master Lu said. Tian Bue also suspected that Master Lu might have done something to the array. After all, they had just deceived Master Lu once, and needless to say, Master Lu's heart was full of resentment. When the people of Stargate went in, Master Lu would activate the array, causing all the Corpses to riot again, and that would be bad. The Corpses in the Corpse array couldn't be killed at all. Even if a cultivator at the body integration stage went in, there was no way to deal with these Corpses. And if these Corpses weren't dealt with, it would be very difficult for them to enter the Sand Eagle Imperial City. Master Lu was about to explode in anger, and he really didn't want to go in that kind of place again. But at this moment, the people of Stargate were eyeing him covetously, especially Tian Jiansheng, who was at the body integration stage, with a trace of threat in his eyes. Although their words were discussing with Master Lu, in reality, they were forcing him. Okay, but I need you to pay the 4 million first. Master Lu snorted. He couldn't refuse, and looking at Tian Jiansheng's expression, it seemed that if Master Lu dared to say no, he would immediately turn hostile. Okay. Tian Bue flipped his hand, and a piece of black jade appeared, and he handed it to Master Lu. This is the $1 Million Trading Company's Spirit Stone Jade Pendant. As long as you find a $1 Million Trading Company, you can exchange it with any bank on the 3 continents. I presume Master Lu is not unfamiliar with it. Of course, Master Lu wouldn't be unfamiliar with it, because the array on the black jade was carved by the people of their array faction, and it recorded the number and origin of the spirit stones, so it couldn't be faked. But now, a large part of the business with the $1 Million Trading Company had been snatched away by the Talisman Grandmaster, which made Master Lu particularly angry. He checked the number on the black jade, and it was indeed 4 million. Then he put away, then glanced at Zhou Jinglin, and without saying anything, he walked towards the Corpse array again. Tian Bue swept his eyes over the people around him. They originally had 25 people here, but 6 of them had already become Corpses, leaving 19 people behind. At this time, most of them were in the severed soul stage, so he left 9 people behind to provide support, while the remaining 10 people followed Master Lu. Zhou Jinglin hesitated for a moment, and then followed. He wanted to please Tian Bue, so how could he give up halfway? When everyone carefully stepped into the Corpse array, they were all dumbfounded. Those ferocious Corpses were not dancing, but sitting in pairs, playing a you clap, I clap clapping game. Were these really the ferocious Corpses from before? Needless to say, only Little Handsome could think of playing this childish clapping game. Even encouraging Dragonvine to control these Corpses, each of them controlling half of the Corpses, and then clapping with each other. Half an hour ago, he and Dragonvine were playing a game of not letting the Corpses fly, and then stacking a human pyramid to see who could stack the highest. And finally, Little Handsome won. You're finally here. You're really paranoid, all right. Little Handsome, stop playing. It's time to get down to business. Muyu yawned. He had been sitting cross-legged to recover his energy. After all, he had fought with the severed soul stage Xiangma, so his injuries were not light. Fortunately, The black and white spiritual energy in his body quickly helped him heal his wounds, and now he was almost healed. Mu Yu already knew that Tian Jiansheng had come in, but the most important person had not come in, so he would not do anything to Tian Jiansheng. These Yin corpses were prepared for Tian Bue. Chapter 401. Master Lu was the first to walk in. Seeing so many Yin corpses clapping their hands, he was at a loss, but he quickly came back to his senses and said in a serious tone, "First, I must warn you, these Yin corpses have only temporarily lost their offensive ability. When you walk over, you must not casually touch them, and you must also be careful not to use your spiritual energy. If your spiritual energy changes the array pattern again, causing the Yin corpse array to have unpredictable consequences, then even I will have bad luck with you." When he was talking nonsense, his expression was very serious, and the others all believed him. Even Tian Jiansheng, who had walked in to investigate the situation, did not say anything. After all, only an array master understood the matter of arrays. Moreover, Master Lu had just walked out of the Yin corpse array alive. This was the best proof. Zhou Jinglin gave a small snort. Although he did not know what was wrong with these clapping Yin corpses, but he was a Xiantian symbol master, so naturally he would not believe Master Lu's words. There must be something strange about this. Only because he had framed Master Lu to run away, it was already disgraceful, so he did not say anything to refute Master Lu. These Yin corpses were not only sitting on the ground, but there were also many Yin corpses sitting in the air, densely filling the sky. It would be a bit difficult to fly over. Master Lu walked around the Yin corpses sitting in front of him and then walked towards the Sand Eagle King City. Everyone saw that he was not flying, so they all consciously followed Master Lu's footsteps. At the same time, they were constantly on guard, guarding against the Yin corpses suddenly rushing out to bite them. This group of people, including Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin, had a total of 12 people. As they walked forward, the Yin corpses did not even raise their heads. When they were about to reach the city gates, a withered claw suddenly reached out from under Tian Bu Waiting's feet, tightly grabbing onto him. Tian Bu Waiting slightly knit his brows. The spiritual energy under his feet trembled, directly kicking away the withered hand. The withered hand suddenly let out an unpleasant creak sound, shattering into pieces of bone. Following this, all the Yin corpses suddenly stopped clapping and turned to look at this group of people. Being stared at by a large group of repulsive Yin corpses was definitely not a pleasant thing, especially for Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin, who had just fought. Their faces turned pale once again. If these Yin corpses charged over, there would be no end to them. Everyone looked over at Tian Bu Qi, who had attracted the Yin corpses' attention. If Tian Bu Qi did not have the highest status in this group, he would have already started cursing. Something happening at this time was a taboo. He grabbed my foot. I had to do it, Kendi said calmly. No one dared to refute his words. Everyone vigilantly looked at the Yin corpses, preparing to fight them. These Yin corpses suddenly stood up and began to hold hands. 3 inner and 3 outer layers began to surround the 12 people in a circle. That's right, they were going around in circles, just like a bonfire party. The people from the Heavenly Starry sect were completely confused. What the F*CK is wrong with him again? It can't be. Little Handsome, this is the game you were talking about? Mu Yu helplessly tapped his forehead. If it was him, he would have already controlled all the Yin corpses to charge over. Focusing on Tian Bu Qi now that this group of people had gone this deep, it was not a problem to cut off their escape route. Don't be anxious. With these people gathered together, it would be very hard for the Yin corpse army to fight. What we need to do is to separate them and defeat them one by one. Little Handsome said with a happy grin. Mu Yu's eyes lit up. He found that Little Handsome was quite smart sometimes. But he still warned him, remember, Master Lu is one of us. I know what I'm doing. Little Handsome solemnly vowed. Tian Bu Qi's side did not dare act rashly because the Yin corpses were only circling around them and did not attack them, so they did not take the initiative to attack. But there were many withered hands that suddenly appeared under their feet. These withered hands did not attack them, but rather stretched out and swayed left and right. It was very rhythmic, as if it was following a certain rhythm. Because of Tian Buqi's example, no one dared to destroy these withered hands and only gave way to them. With them giving way, everyone was separated and more corpses began to crawl out. Tian Buqi was a very smart person. He immediately realized that something was wrong and immediately shouted, "Everyone, don't separate. Quickly gather together." But it was already too late because all the corpses began to give strange cries. They did not attack and just scattered everyone. Then they expressionlessly circled around everyone. So the corpses even kicked their legs from time to time, jumping around happily. It had to be said that when these corpses did not attack, it was quite interesting. Although they were missing a piece of skin on their faces, it did not make people afraid. The corpses did not attack, and these people did not dare attack. They were forced to retreat, moving further and further away from their companions. Master Lu and Zhou Jinglin were both array experts, so they had already thought of a possibility. Someone was deliberately controlling this corpse array, but with their abilities, they had no way of resisting this corpse array. Not to mention dancing. Even if they sang a bad song, they would not be able to do anything. All right, it's about time. Let's have a great corpse battle. Brothers, charge for me. Bite off a piece of flesh from Stargate's people, and we'll give you the underworld grass black chi as a reward. Little Handsome directly gave the order. All the corpses changed their numb expressions and revealed a fierce expression. The aura of living people had already stimulated their senses, making them impatient. The corpses that were holding hands pounced on everyone like hungry tigers that had seen sheep. At this moment, the sky was densely packed with corpses, which directly submerged the people of the Heavenly Star sect. Young Gate Master, quickly leave this place. Tian Jianxing angrily shouted. He was a unification stage cultivator with a high cultivation base, but he had already fought with all the corpses when he came in a while ago. At this moment, his attacks were completely ineffective against these corpses. He could only rely on his tyrannical brute force to forcibly repel the corpses and rush towards Tian Bushi. Tian Bushi's expression changed slightly. Suddenly, two treasures flashed on his body. They were the Heavenly Star Shield and the Heavenly Star Spear. These two supreme treasures originally belonged to him. Back then, when Tian Yun went to the second celestial layer, he had lent them to Tian Yun for his safety. Needless to say, these two supreme treasures would be even more powerful in his hands. However, Tian Bushi did not attack any of the corpses because he already knew that these corpses would become more powerful the more he fought. They were simply unkillable existences. The Heavenly Star Shield appeared beside him and enveloped him. All the corpses that pounced on him were repelled by the Heavenly Star Shield. The other Stargate cultivators were not so lucky. What made them despair was that they had never fought with the corpses before, but their attacks were ineffective against these corpses. They quickly understood that since they were all Stargate cultivators, their cultivation techniques were similar. The 6 Stargate cultivators who had been transformed into corpses had already used the Stargate cultivation techniques to deal with the corpses. At this moment, the corpses were immune to the cultivation techniques of Stargate. In the blink of an eye, the 2 out-of-body stage cultivators had their throats torn open by the corpses. They lost their vitality. The corpse array pattern slowly covered their bodies and turned them into corpses. The other severed soul stage cultivators were still bitterly holding on. But according to this situation, it was only a matter of time before they were killed by the corpses. In just a moment, 5 Stargate cultivators had died in the blink of an eye. Among them, there were 3 severed soul stage cultivators. Muyu looked at the Stargate cultivators being bitten by the corpses, and his heart was very calm. He never liked to watch life pass away, but when he saw the Stargate cultivators die in front of him, he didn't feel any regret. The entire Stargate sect was wiped out, and it didn't arouse his sympathy. He looked at Tion Bushi, who was protected by the star shield, and understood that these corpses wouldn't be able to do anything to him for a while. As early as when he was in the second layer of heaven, Muyu had seen the power of the star shield. This thing was as hard to break as a tortoise shell. These corpses didn't know how to attack the weak points, so they couldn't hurt Tion Bushi. "Come to me quickly," Tion Bushi shouted. The other Stargate cultivators had already struggled to move towards Tion Bushi. Zhou Jinglin was the closest to Tion Bushi. He immediately entered the star shield. The other two unification stage cultivators weren't slow either. The remaining severed soul stage cultivator also rushed in with blood. "Where's Master Lu? Did that bastard set us up?" Zhou Jinglin said in a deep voice. Tion Bushi shook his head. "It's not him. I just saw him being drowned by a group of corpses." Judging from his surprised expression just now, this matter has nothing to do with him. And I didn't believe that he had the ability to control so many corpses from the beginning. Master Lu was indeed drowned by corpses. He was dragged by a group of corpses to the pit where Mu Yu had disappeared. At this moment, he was looking at the corpses around him in horror. These corpses were looking at him curiously. They didn't touch a single hair on his body. They just pressed down all his limbs, making him unable to move. One of the corpses even made a should gesture to Master Lu, although this gesture was very stiff and somewhat funny. Master Lu was at a loss. He didn't understand what had happened. Why did these corpses, who wanted to kill him just now, suddenly let him go? He didn't dare to take a breath now. He could only hope for a miracle to happen again and let these corpses dance and let him go. Who is controlling this corpse array? Master Lu secretly thought in his heart. Then he frowned. Could it be Feng Mu? He had just seen everyone else being attacked by the corpses. Only he had escaped. There was no reason for this at all. He had nothing to do with these corpses, so why would they let him go? The only explanation was that Feng Mu had been dragged into the pit by the corpses. But when he thought of Feng Mu's foundation establishment stage cultivation, he rejected this idea. How could a foundation establishment stage disciple have this kind of ability? Moreover, Feng Mu has already been transformed by the corpse. It must be that the person controlling this array behind the scenes has taken a fancy to my array technique. Maybe he wants me to help him do something. Master Lu felt that he had stepped into muddy water that he should not have stepped into. He had long regretted coming here. Mu Yu had taken control of this array. He had already tried to make all the corpses attack the heavenly star shield. Unfortunately, this was a rare treasure and there were no signs of it collapsing. But Tion Bushi and the others couldn't move at this moment. It was equivalent to being trapped in place. But at this moment, a yellow shadow suddenly charged in from outside the array. Mu Yu had attacked all the corpses to find trouble with Tion Bushi, so the corpses didn't pay any attention to this uninvited guest. The yellow shadow stepped on the corpses' bodies and flew towards the Sand Eagle King City's gates. Chapter 402. The yellow figure landed at the gates of Desert Eagle King City and looked up at the sculpture of a desert eagle about to take flight. This person was wearing a yellow robe with a hood on his head. It was impossible to tell who he was or what his cultivation was, but his sudden appearance attracted everyone's attention. Although Tion Bushi's line of sight was blocked by the corpses, they could still feel the aura of the yellow-robed man. Looking at the surprised expressions on their faces, Mu Yu could tell that the yellow-robed man was not with them. Could it be someone from the devil race? Mu Yu thought to himself. This was Desert Eagle King's King City. Other than the two disgusting the Gate of Hell and the Gate of Life and Death, as well as the annoying Stargate, only the devil race would be interested in the Devil King. But this yellow-robed man did not have the special aura of the Gate of Hell and the Gate of Life and Death, nor did he have the demonic aura of the devil race. Who was he? No matter who you are, I can't lose sight of the other. Mu Yu did not hesitate to control some corpses to charge at the yellow-robed man. He wanted to stop him from entering Desert Eagle King City. He did not want to protect this Desert Eagle King whom he had never met before. The main reason was that the Desert Eagle King was also an immortal existence. The threefold palace was the one that coveted the body of immortality the most. If the guardian of the threefold palace obtained the body of Demon King Desert Eagle, then the guardian of the threefold palace would have eternal life in this world. For the sake of their ruling power, they would bring about endless slaughter. Although the yellow-robed man did not have the sacred white light of the third palace, Muyu could not let him have his way. In comparison, he hoped that the Desert Eagle King would be sealed forever and never come out again. It would save him the trouble of doing things one by one. Countless corpses charged at the yellow-robed man, but a spiritual energy shield appeared around the yellow-robed man. It surrounded him and repelled all the corpses. Then he floated into the air and stretched out his hand. In his hand was a blood-red, exquisite pagoda. It was very exquisite. Bushi used the heavenly star spear to repel all the corpses. They also saw the pagoda in the yellow-robed man's hand. The key to opening Desert Eagle King City is the blood-exquisite pagoda. How does he have it? Bushi was very surprised. What should we do? Should we stop him? Jianxing asked. Heaven Bue pondered for a moment before saying, No. Since he has the blood crystal, we don't need to rely on sacrifices to enter the city. It'll save us a lot of trouble. Blood crystal? Muyu frowned. He was not familiar with the situation in Sand Eagle Royal City at all, nor did he understand what the blood crystal meant. However, the exquisite pagoda in the hands of the yellow-clothed man had already emitted 2 scarlet rays of light, which shone into the eyes of the Desert Eagle relief sculpture on the city gate. A majestic and domineering cry of an eagle resounded through the sky. The relief sculpture seemed to have come to life. Then it actually flapped its wings and flew out of the city gate, soaring into the sky. The relief sculpture had actually come alive. This Desert Eagle sculpture soared above the entire royal city, constantly crying as if warning outsiders not to act rashly. As soon as it left the city gate automatically cracked open. The yellow-clothed man had already flashed through the gap in the city gate. Quickly, let's follow him. Heaven Bue made a prompt decision. The heavenly star spear filled the sky with killing intent, instantly crushing a large group of corpses. They followed this gap and instantly followed the yellow-clothed man into Sand Eagle Royal City. The corpses were unable to continue 10 steps away from the city gate, because that was the edge of the corpse array. The corpses could not leave the corpse array. No, we have to stop them. Heaven Bue's group had already entered Sand Eagle Royal City, and the corpse array could not stop them. If Muyu wanted to stop the Sand Eagle Demonic King from being born, he had to enter Sand Eagle Royal City. Muyu anxiously looked around the underground cave. This was the place where the corpses gathered, but he did not know if there was a way to enter Sand Eagle Royal City. He controlled the crystal and let it release a dazzling light. Then he saw an ordinary-looking passage in the corner. This passage had a flight of stairs, but he did not know where it led. Muyu had all the corpses stop. He did not even care about Master Lu as he hugged the crystal and left the underground cave, flying towards the flight of stairs. Little Handsome was still a little reluctant. He had not played with these corpses enough, but he was still pulled away by Muyu by the tail. I also have to hide myself. If I bump into them and they find out that I'm from the Array faction, then it won't be good. Muyu placed Little Handsome into his pocket and had him not come out. Little Handsome's existence was not known by many people in the cultivation world, so he would not expose Muyu's identity. Even in the Array faction, Little Handsome had only appeared in front of Chengzhua. Even Master Lu did not know of Little Handsome's existence. But just in case, Muyu had changed his appearance. He relied on the light of the night pearl to quickly run up the stairs. This flight of stairs was very long, and as he climbed, he would see 1 or 2 demonic beast statues. There were even some white bones, but Muyu had already dealt with the corpses, so naturally he did not care about these white bones. His speed was very fast, but the stairs in front of him suddenly forked. There were still 3 paths. It can't be right. Which path should I take? Muyu felt a headache coming on. Who knew where these 3 paths would lead him to? Whoever the little corpse points to, I'll take the right. Little Handsome was very enthusiastic. Muyu helplessly shook his head and turned to the right. But not long after, there was another fork in the road. Are you playing with me? Muyu wanted to curse out loud. This underground staircase was like a maze. People who were not familiar with it would not be able to get out. It would have been better to go back to the surface and enter the city from the city gates. He touched his surroundings and found that it was all hard stone. If he wanted to rely on Mu Ling's sword to get out, it would be impossible. He continued to turn right, but after a few steps, there was another fork in the road. He was like a headless fly, had already met 7-8 forks in the road. Relying on Little Handsome's little corpse to point the way, he blindly charged forward. In any case, as long as the stairs went up, there was no mistake. As he walked, he suddenly barged into another cave. The ceiling of this cave was filled with stalactites, and there were potholes on the ground. There was a soft white light in the water, and there was also a rich spiritual energy coming from it. Wah, we're here, we're here. Little Handsome's saliva began to drip down. What do you mean we're here? Little Handsome, you wouldn't have purposely led me here, right? Muyu was stunned for a moment. How could that be? It's because of the good food that summoned us. Little Handsome gave an embarrassed smile. Muyu was defeated by Little Handsome. The little corpse that had pointed the way wasn't blindly pointing, it was all for the good food. Muyu helplessly shook his head. He walked closer to the puddles and looked at the things at the bottom of the water in amazement. They were actually demon spirits. What made Muyu the most shocked was that the spiritual energy of these demon spirits was very rich. The spiritual energy contained within made people's hearts palpitate. My God, these are all 6th and 7th grade demon spirits. Little Handsome couldn't wait to jump in. He wanted to pick them up from the water, but there was an invisible formation on the surface of the water that pushed him away. A 6th grade demon spirit was equivalent to a spirit-severing stage cultivator, and a 7th grade demon spirit was equivalent to a unity stage cultivator. These are high-grade demon spirits. They're very rare. Why are there so many 6th and 7th grade demon spirits being protected here? One has to know that the Devil Clan's people were transformed from demon beasts with spiritual intelligence. However, there are also demon beasts that can awaken spiritual intelligence that can cultivate to a very high level. Generally, the most common demon beasts in the cultivation world are low-grade demon beasts. High-grade demon beasts will hide themselves because they have basic intelligence and know that humans will harm them. Little Handsome was very annoyed. He tried to break through the formation again and again, but he was bounced back. Little Handsome could only stare helplessly. Muyu squatted down and carefully examined the formation. He discovered that this is a sealed formation. The formation core and the formation base are all within the formation. Without special formation patterns, it's impossible to enter. There are demon words here. Big Earthworm, quickly read it. Little Handsome was bounced onto a stalactite for the 4th time and discovered the words engraved on the stalactite. 3 of the words were especially large while the rest were small words. Devil's Sealing Pool. When Devil King Desert Eagle returns, it will be the time for the Devil Clan to revive. Dragon Tongue lazily said, there are also words over there. Quickly read it. Little Handsome didn't care who was coming back. He wanted to know how to get these demon spirits. I say, are we still going to destroy the Stargate plan? Dragon Tongue reminded. Muyu pondered for a long time. At this moment, he was completely lost. He didn't know where to go. He went around and around until he was dizzy. In the end, Little Handsome still brought him to such a place. The treasures were clearly in front of him, but he couldn't get them. Since we've been led astray by Little Handsome, we don't know how to get back. Those people came here to find Devil King Desert Eagle. However, I don't think Devil King Desert Eagle can be found so easily. Let's first look around for clues. Perhaps we can find traces of Devil King Desert Eagle before they do, Muyu said. All the stalactites were more or less engraved with some small words. These words were strange, but Dragon Tongue easily translated them. It recorded the origins and uses of these demon spirits. These demon spirits were high-tier demon beasts that didn't have intelligence. They were killed after Devil King Desert Eagle was sealed. Their demon souls were sealed in these demon spirits and protected by the formation. As long as Devil King Desert Eagle breaks free from the seal, he can use his powerful demonic arts to revive all these demon spirits and create a powerful demon beast army. Little Handsome, how many rank 6 and rank 7 demon spirits are there? Muyu asked. 1,092 rank 6 demon spirits and 813 rank 7 demon spirits. Little Handsome wasn't careless when it came to counting the food. Heavens! So many. Muyu sucked in a breath of cold air. After conversion, it was equivalent to more than 1,000 severed soul stage demon beasts and about 800 body integration stage demon beasts. If they were all revived, they wouldn't be any weaker than the 8 gates. In addition, there were some demon beasts with high cultivation. This kind of terrifying strength could overturn the entire 3 continents. Although demon beasts were 1 level lower than demon beasts, high-tier demon beasts weren't any weaker than demon beasts. In fact, they weren't weaker than cultivators. If Devil King Desert Eagle really returned, then the cultivation world would really be in chaos. When there was war, there would be death. The soul power of the dead was the source of power for the 3rd palace to rule over the 3 continents. The demon beasts led so many powerful demon beasts to fight against the human race. In the end, the 3rd palace would benefit. This wasn't something Muyu wanted to see. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.